pushing the button! Hey, good morning, Bacon. What ho, friend? Sorry, forgive me while I'm guzzling coffee. Oh, guzzling coffee and reading up on the Bandai Namco hack. Seems like that might actually be a legit thing. I left my wristband in the bathroom. God, I'm not with it this morning. How are you? But I will say...
Captain on the bridge.
It's been a world leader. Year.
It's been a whole day. Yeah, 2 years. Good at maths. I'm good at maths, me. Bacon, for all that you put into keeping us going. And having a tier 3 for 2 years on top of all of that. I can thank you, friend. How are you doing? Step again! What ho, friend! Some friends gave us some leftover fancy coffee, so I'm getting like fancy fresh coffee this morning, and it's amazing. No, okay, so Bacon, I saw like you and Fiona and Peeps hanging out in Discord, and then Zeke was in there, and I'm like, oh, you're streaming Sea of Thieves? Okay, cool. And I saw Zeke in there, and I was like, huh. And so all throughout the night, I've been getting updates of Zeke's Sea of Thieves adventures, and it's amazing. I love it. Not binging Sea of Thieves hard is proving very difficult, but I'm doing it. I almost feckin' just streamed on Sunday just so I could. Katatros, good morning, what's up, friend?
So crazy.
Dalzet, good morning, what's up, friend? Edmund, hello there.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
River.
Yeet.
Yeet. Yeet. Yote. And personally defunct. That's 12 months. That is the full complement of the long ship. That's pretty fucking cool, friend.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Fucking back to back, y'all. Firstly defunct, thank you for a whole year. Fearless for 39 months. Again, on top of so much. Alright, y'all just starting loud today. Bacon, thank you. Jackie, Vanderbeest, J-Post, what ho, friends! Yeah, sorry that I'm kind of doing the multi-track DJ eyes. I'm just reading up on this Bandai Namco hack. I'm trying to find out how legit it is. Because I've seen... What a flit. And Vanderbeest, thank you for filling the pint glass. Yeah, so I'm trying to find out how legit some of the information coming out of the
39 months, plus the little 1,000 months I've given to others.
Fuck, yes. I mean, in terms of housecarl hunting, that's gotta be peak, right? Like, I haven't looked at the Eternal boards, and I wouldn't want people to think they were in cash spending competition, but that's got to be up there. So very quickly, dear friends, today we are playing which Stranding. If you want to know which strand is stranding, stay tuned to find out. Yes, I will be making that joke repeatedly throughout the day. No, I will not be apologising. Xalavier is going to join us on the line from the airport in a little bit. Well, once we get into game. So we're going full chaos. Mega Boss Prolo, Watto friends! We're not going to be doing gun mode. But mainly because gun mode is hilarious, but very obnoxious to listen to. We're not doing gun mode! I feel a bit cheeky because I did know about gun mode well in advance. It was weird, like, having a sick day the day that Witch Stranding came out, because I was like, I knew about this game before it was cool. I got to see some previews of Xalavier's stuff on kind of like Friendly A terms. God, I don't remember when. I think it was a gig, but I might have been drunk. And Fearless, there's only one way to find out. Yeah, it's not what ho, it's which ho. Right here. But yeah, hello, good morning. It's been 2 days and I fucking missed you. How are you all doing, friends? There's a lot of game news, there's a lot happening. Obviously the most important game news being that Stacklands got the Islands update. So now, once you finish the main game of Stacklands, you can send your little villager peoples out to farm glass on faraway islands. And Fearless, I couldn't possibly comment. No, but seriously, don't mess with witches; they're awesome. And apparently we're doing a train already with 7 minutes on the clock. I should get one of those little, like, stopwatches. Oh wow. Just by the bits you lot all threw in and by everyone procking their subs, like, we've almost screamed past the first station. But yeah, so I've been trying to get some more solid info on the Bandai Namco leak. The only image I've seen has been like the potential releases for the following year, and I'm not sure. I mean, these are publisher dates which aren't developer dates. And these could have been from an internal document from like last year or the year before. Because like Little Nightmares 3 already? Didn't we only just get Little Nightmares 2?
AWACS, Bandai Namco leak. All planes, evade. Impact in 5, 4.
And Anonymous, whoever the spooky ghost Anonymous individual is, and Fearless. Thank you for bits. Yeah, no sign of an Ace Combat in there as well. Dalzette.
Sensor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Disco Guinea Pigs!
Viking 64 Disco, Viking 64 Disco, Viking 64 Disco.
It's disco time. But no, Dalzette, thank you for 13 months. Like, I don't know if you've all noticed, none of these sprees are shorter than a fucking year. This is ridiculous.
Greetings. Been a while. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. Harmonious, and cheers to you. Cheers to you. Coming in, coming in! Blue Abomination, XT Johnny XP, what ho, friends! Coming in, coming in. Sorry, I just felt like the Sonic mixes today. I've still got a real soft spot for the Marvel Zone. Okay, so if you're wondering what the bloody hell I'm talking about, so over the weekend it was revealed that Bandai Namco got hit by a ransomware attack, which is bad. Apparently some stuff is starting to trundle out, but I'm not 100% sure how much I believe in it. I'll just quickly flash you the big stuff. There we go. Hang on, yeah. I'll bring up the train in just a second again, friends, but this was the image that's been doing the rounds. I don't know how legit it is. The logo is post Bandai's redesign, which I believe was the end of last year, beginning of this year, because I ripped the piss out of it because I still think it's a terrible logo. And it shows potential release dates for some titles. Now, I think the Elden Ring DLC is incredibly optimistic. FromSoft have never been quick turnaround for DLC and additional content. Also, we just got Tales of Arise last year, so a 2-year turnaround on the next Tales game seems optimistic. But the Dragon Ball titles certainly. I'm not convinced with Cyber Sleuth 2, but that might have had real good sales in Japan. I know Code Vein sold way better than expected. But yeah, this is one of those, like, we've got to take with a pinch of salt. But the reason why I kind of jumped on it was the rumblings of new Armored Core. Oh, you're right, and probably that's a good point. If with the Tales games, it could be another same engine, same title, so it's not impossible. But the thing is, we don't know how dated or what this image is for. I've been in publisher meetings and stuff where images like that get thrown around a whole bunch, and it's kind of speculative, where sometimes all these are is a mock-up or a placeholder for the publisher to plan their year as what's getting released where and how that's going to play out. So we have no idea. The reason why I jumped on it is that, as I'm sure you've all seen, someone accidentally changed the FromSoft website to be an Armored Core website, which I thought was very funny. We're absolutely getting something Armored Core themed. The rumblings feel like we're going to be getting it announced soon. So yeah, I am going to try not to be a gatekeeping piece of shit when it gets announced. Just because with From Software becoming such a prominent and popular part of our industry, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come out of the woodwork being like, oh, I love Armored Core! And I'm going to be like, nah, I was there, I know you, and I know you didn't take my recommendations. So I'm going to try not to be an arse. And the train succeeded! A quick jaunt to the first station and back. Oh yes, and Prolo, you are correct. Like, the Klonoa remake has been selling great. I mean, we don't... Okay, it's not like back in the day where we could just check Steam stats and know. But it's just... Like, it's already at overwhelmingly positive, having been out for a few days, and that's a good indicator on Steam that it's selling very well. Yeah, Dalzet, looking back and realizing that Armored Core 1 came out in 97 is haunting! People have been born and are actual grown adults now, in the time Armored Core has been in this world. So yeah. For me, I'm gonna do my best to balance my love of Armored Core and the fact that more people are going to be able to get into it, alongside a lot of people who are going to be fronting a lot. But, you know, Which would I rather have? A series that I love once again rise to prominence, or people go, wow, you sure are one of 3 people that... you are sure are one of 3 people who played that game online one time. Oh, so Stepgen, Armored Core was a giant robot series, shocking, that garnered a lot of love and respect. The main reason being is that the mech designs are done by like post headgear designers. So it has the giant robots in Armored Core have their roots from the same team that basically shaped the post Gundam real robot space. There's a few really good documentaries online about like the... Actually, there aren't. Shit, I need to get on that. Anyway, the thing that really hooked everybody was that it encapsulated that whole... And yes, Big, the train has come and gone. It has come and gone. Also, Big's Watone, good morning. Armored Core's vibe was always more like the giant robot as a jet fighter. You know, you're fast, you're quick. The goal isn't to have the biggest weapon, but to build something that's beautifully balanced for your style. And that's something that's resonated with giant robot fans for a very, very long time. You know, mech nerds like myself are all about that. Later series would go so hardcore as to allow you to tweak the aerodynamics of your mech.
Reactor online. Sensors online.
Hey!
Online. All systems nominal.
Delayed notifications.
Sadlin, how in the hot heck are you doing, friend? And thank you for 45 months.
Down the with joiner mentality of the train. Embrace the chaos.
Ah! You know what, Biggs? You are definitely going the full length to embrace House Chaos. And Biggs, thank you for 987 bits. Cheers to you, mate. Thank you. Biggs, I don't know if you saw that Marauder is inching slowly closer to getting a launch. But that's another story. Hey! Yo, you want to talk about Bandai Namco? Yo, you want to talk about Armored Core? Do you want to talk about Armored Core? Aperios! Do you want to talk about Armored Core with me? Might be a little bit charged this morning, I'm sorry. Aperios, how are you doing? Watto and welcome! Come on in, friends. Come on in. What is Armored Core? Well, thank you for asking. While I shout you out. And friends, I can't imagine it's the case. Like, we've been doing this dance for a good while. But if for some weird reason you aren't already following Aperios, please do. He is the person I go to talk about stream stuff, esports, fighting games, that whole scene. And for those of you in the greater Seattle area, the news is out. The next Sober Meet will be at the to-be-reopened GameWorks in downtown Seattle. Friends, we're going back for the Giga Pretzel. It's happening. It's happening. Oh. But yeah, I'm trying not to do the I was into it before it was cool, because Armored Core was such a very niche thing. Because of From Software's popularity, I'm a lot of people are going to be getting very into Armored Core. That's brilliant.
Returning to Mario Kart Grand Prix. Wahoo!
Wahoo! Mario Kart Grand Prix Arcade Edition, yahoo!
Choke you out, you little bastard. Yeah, well, so Volcanor, I do feel that was definitely something to take into consideration, that a lot of Western markets really did prefer like the heavier, weightier, like the battle mech experience, whereas Armored Core, you know, they're light, they're fast, it's a jet fighter with legs. Of course, Steel Battalion, was Steel Battalion from? I think it was. No, it was not. Shit, that was Capcom. A combination of a team called Nude Maker and Capcom Production Studio 4. What an exciting name. Oh shit, Steel Battalion was their first title. And by the looks of things, sadly, they're best. Oh wait, no, they did Infinite Space on the DS? Alright, sorry, bringing it back. Sorry, Vulcaner, I guess I need to get more caffeinated this morning. Sorry. Oh, Salem was saying they've been into so many things before that if they would start to crow about it, they'd feel a bit silly. And that's fair. Yeah, Megaboss. So basically, Nude Maker, who did Steel Battalion, did Infinite Space, which was a Sega DS game that nobody bought and fewer people played. And yes, Fearless Patches is canon from Armored Core as well as Dark Souls. And the Moonlit Ultra Greatsword is in the Armored Core series, which I didn't know because you've got to be a complete lunatic in Armored Core to want to use melee weapons. Yeah, Patches is eternal ass. And Lizzie, what, ho friend? Sorry, so many people have come in and I've not said proper hellos. Harmonious, Getting Ed, Tiny Meows. Good morning, what ho friends? Hello. Ah, get out of here, nerd. Yeah. But I don't know when we're getting. I don't know when we're getting.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Neo Shadow, what ho friend?
What ho?
Yeah. And thank you for 44 months, you fucking legend. I don't know when we're getting the Armored Core announcements. It doesn't take a genius to work out that we are getting something, because whoever it was that biffed it up and changed the FromSoft website to Armored Core, like, but now we're kind of, like, over in giant robot fandom, we're kind of trying to theorize what we might get. I'm very skeptical as to the legitimacy of the image that's been doing the rounds this morning, but if that has any weight to it, it does imply that we'll either be getting a remake of Armored Core 1, or they're going to just reboot the franchise with Armored Core, which is fair. If you've not heard of Armored Core, that's fine. It's wonderfully complex if you're into that sort of thing. It has a nonsense bullshit story, and I mean, like, it makes the Ace Combat series look cohesive as a storytelling device. But for the most part, planet's fucked, you drive a giant robot, just go have fun. The robots get bigger and weirder, and as I was saying online last night, I know it's a bit new metal of me, but my favourite is probably still Armored Core for Answer, just for the size and the scale of, like, the boss battles. Oh, baby boy, you're fine. His new thing is whinging. He's sitting in a room and he'll go, when he wants attention. But yeah, Armored Core always struggled to have a story and a narrative. The last one, Armored Core 5, kind of struggled a lot. Okay, Aperio's... I don't want you to be right, because I know you're memeing on me with Armored Core Mobile, but there was an Armored Core... what was it called? It was like Armored... It wasn't Armored Core Manager. It's an Armored Core PSP game. Armored Core Formula Front. Alright. Formula Front... Wait, hang on. Let me just check on this one, because I don't want to give you... Okay. So, Armored Core Formula Front was a team v team competitive mech battler where you play basically like the mech tech and the team trainer. So it's close to like Football Manager of giant robot fights. He's just having a whinge on the couch. He's just sitting on the couch whinging, sorry. Amos is being a big whingy baby boy today. Oh yeah, Vulcanor. Armored Core Formula Front Extreme Battle is a hell of a title. And it was... Armored Core Formula Front is definitely an indication of... From, and by a greater extent, Sony's misunderstanding of, like, the international market. Like, it's a great game if you already love the shit out of Armored Core enough and own a PSP. Which was, let me tell you, outside of Japan, those circles barely even kiss. You could take something like that and turn it into a mobile game, especially a mobile gacha game. If you played the Gundam Mobile title, which, by the way, has action combat and is surprisingly good. But... Well, okay, so the Gundam Mobile game isn't aggressive with its gacha unless you are going for something specific, which is the late game. So, you can play that one quite happily for like a year and change, and then later on you're like, oh cool, how do I improve my build? Oh, well I need this part from this mech. How do I get that? You just keep rolling forever. You roll beyond the point where even Frederick Durst would say keep rolling. Okay, I'm just gonna go for a handbrake turn for a reference, because Prolo was saying it could be worse, at least with the PSP and the N-Gage. There is an N-Gage in the Obi-Wan TV series, and it nearly broke me. A galaxy far away, and a long time ago in a galaxy far away, the N-Gage still exists. Oh, okay. Tiny Meows was saying that, yeah, he was just joining chat, Doggo Opinions. Yeah, and I'm definitely with Prolo on this one. Another game entering, like, the main sphere with the initials AC, just to make my life more difficult. And we can talk about Assassin's Creed in just a second, because poor Ubisoft is not popular right now. Yeah, Shackle, the infamous gaming taco itself. Anyway, so yeah, I keep looking at the Bandai Namco leaks, or the Bandai Namco hack information, and yeah, there don't seem to be any other leaks or information, so could be someone's leaked it internally. The image I showed you all looks like it's like an internal document, which would probably be kind of placeholder to plan out like marketing strategies for the year. So I don't know if we need to start bracing, but yes, Jackie, Ubisoft is fighting Ubisoft to keep their games online and keep the servers going. Okay, so friends, there are a few titles in Ubisoft's catalog that will be pulled offline, and those titles will... Oh, that's next Tuesday, okay. And those titles will And Scotty has returned. Wellity, wellity, wellity. Watto and welcome once more. We were chatting about Armored Core, and I was just trying to remember when Stray, the Cyberpunk kiddie game's coming out, and that is next Tuesday. I don't know if I can not play that on launch, friends. So, because I've been looking forward to that one for so many E3s. That was an E3 Bowl winner. And Derek Will, Watto friend, hello, hello. But yeah. So in other game news, Ubisoft's pulling a bunch of its games, its game servers down, and in some regards, like with Assassin's Creed Unity, that's going to result in the game being no longer playable. Now, there's a lot of bouncing back and forth about what's going to happen with this. Okay, so apparently, according to a statement provided by to Polygon, only DLCs and online features will be affected. Current owners of the games will be able to access, play, or re-download them. Now, that's interesting because the one that people were focusing on was Assassin's Creed Unity, which was meant to be the big co-op one that ended up being a very disastrous launch. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I mean, Ubisoft is not a small company, and
Ubisoft has served Ubisoft with a cease and desist to stop using Ubisoft IP due to it costing Ubisoft money.
It's a fucking mess over there. Also, here's a complete aside. Has anyone seen... Is there a Steam page over here yet? Okay, there's not. Has anyone seen anything on the price point for Skull and Bones? Sorry, I know it's another one of those handbrake conversational changes, but... I've been looking a lot at Skull and Bones, and I think we'll end up talking about Skull and Bones quite a bit. Mostly because it's essentially I personally feel Skull and Bones is trying to do a very, very over-designed version of Sea of Thieves, and I think it's going to fall subject to the pitfalls that Sea of Thieves avoided.
Almost evil healing bits.
Almost evil healing bits. Biggs, you're not ready to give up the Yaldum this morning. Good on you. And Biggs, thank you for 667 bits. Neighbor of the Beast. Occasionally gets the Beast's mail. No, sorry, that was me reading Stadland's. So Skull and Bones is going to be a $60 pre-order game. Oh, with... a $90 premium edition. Oh goody! Oh goody! And yes, friends, the most wishlisted game on Steam, mainly since the zombie survival one got rumbled for not paying their staff. Stray is coming out on Tuesday of next week. So, actually, we can have a talk about that later on, like what we want to do as the Longship. Because if you'll want, I don't mind waiting and playing it later. If you'll want to jump on it at launch, or if we want to do it as kind of a group play along on Tuesday, we can. But jumping back. Well, so Dory Quill, originally when Skull and Bones was pitched, it was going to be closer to the World of Blank format. 3 to 5 ships of the line versus 3 to 5 ships of the line, with kind of like it was going to be PvP with additional elements in the match to spice it up. Then it disappeared for 1,000 years, and it has returned as something closer to Sea of Thieves open world, but with leveling systems and skill trees and unlockable ships and builds and all sorts. It also has a combat system similar to Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That being you control the whole ass ship in a more traditional sense, you know, lining up broadsides with like UI shots and things like that. Vanderbeest, I do not see it replacing Sea of Thieves. And this definitely feels like a managerial choice switch. From what we heard, Skull and Bones was having a very, very troubled development stat, and now we know why. It's because the game changed drastically. It is now going to have a semi-open world. It's going to have a PvP, EV, PvPv, EVP type nonsense. And I don't know if you all saw it because I was kind of sharing it around last week, but like when the meme becomes real life, the screenshots that we've seen of Skull and Bones so far do look like the meme from feckin'. I was doing the rounds of like what Elden Ring would look like if it was made by Ubisoft. Vulcanor, sadly, it is not. It should be. Although, don't look up the Pirates of the Caribbean video games because you'll then realise how much our bones have turned to dust. What Aperios, I genuinely... this isn't like no snark. I genuinely think that was the change in direction. I think they were really struggling as a team to bring the game together as a like squad v squad game, and management went, all right, no, you're doing a live service game now, and it's going to be like Sea of Thieves. So they had to take what they constructed, which, to my understanding, game starts as a fork from Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Assassin's Creed Rogue. It was meant to be turned into a multiplayer game, and then that's then been forked again into, see what I did there? Into this semi-open world ship battle-y thing. Like, no wonder they've been having a miserable time developing that game. And the thing is, Ubisoft know how to crunch, so it's possible the title will be solid at launch. Personally, much like Shania Twain, that don't impress me much. I've played enough games with innate leveling trees and nonsense, but maybe the core combat will be good.
Yeah, management decisions forked the dev part hard.
Forked it real good. Just remember, friends, when making offerings, pour out a little for the poor producers who had to deal with that feckin' pivot. And so Aperios makes a very, very good point. So Sea of Thieves, which we're all enjoying at the moment, Sea of Thieves has built an amazing community, can agree, has tons and tons of content, and has grown as a spectacle, but that's taken time. And that's something that probably took the most amount of time, was the technical challenges of creating a game like
online.
that.
Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hi Will. Had a busy today with doing double action boogaloo later on tonight.
I mean, Danny, make sure you stay limbered and stretched before the double action boogaloo. The last thing you want to do is pull something mid boogaloo. That is the worst, let me tell you. Danny, I'm sorry. Thank you for 3 months. How are you doing? How goes it, friends? We are going to be back to Anacrusis this week, and I might ask Will if he can hold fire on changing the weekly challenge until after the stream, because I don't think we've got Never Tell Me the Odds, but I need to get our squad together. Anyway, sorry. I've been talking with a lot of people about this, and it is severely underappreciated how much of a technical achievement Sea of Thieves is. The waves, in their huge ridiculousness, alongside storms moving and NPC ships and creatures and whatnot are all synced across all of the games on a server to such a degree as to be incredible. Like, I don't know if you've gotten into a fight with another crew, like on high seas or in a storm, but the fact that that all works is mind-boggling. And I cannot see Ubisoft's philosophy for development being conducive to that. Because, as we've seen, Sea of Thieves has been adding content and adding content. They got a core, stable, functioning base to add stuff to, which is a very important part of a live service game. And when what you're working with is a fork of an in-house title that has been tweaked and hacked and changed and reworked, like, that thing's gonna hit the ground mostly powered by, you know, Gorilla Glue and caffeine. So, I am not hopeful. And this isn't to diss on the development team, like, I fucking love Assassin's Creed 4. I've actually re-downloaded Black Flag, and I may have that as a little, like, binge game for me. I've had to ease up on the amount of Neon White I've been playing because I've been getting hand pains, which sucks! So I've been trying to find less strenuous titles, or titles that let me use a gamepad. But yeah, sorry, I don't mean to keep focusing on Skull and Bones. It's just, it's interesting to see when teams make those pivots that they can miss a lot of the core crux of the experience. Like, honestly, friends, the less is more philosophy is definitely there. Anyway, before we get into which Stranding, yes, friends, we are playing Xalavier's newest game today, finally. I was sick last week, didn't get to play it. Excuse me. Just quickly checking in on what else has been going down, video gaming news-wise. There is going to be a lot of people have been calling it kind of like Kirby meets Fall Guys, but really it just seems to be like another adorable Kirby minigame series, where it's called Kirby's Dream Buffet, where Kirby gets shrunk down to the size of a tiny marble on a cake the size of at that point, the size of an island. And friends, may we all be as happy as Kirby realizing that they're on a gigantic cake. The Skyrim multiplayer mod has released. No one has informed me properly of how multiplayer in that works. Like, do we need dedicated servers? Do we need port forwarding and direct IP connections? But there is a possibility of a day of carnage with that. You know, dependent on what is required, it's possible that we could do a running of the Numpties Skyrim edition. It'll probably only last for a day due to desyncs and chaos, but it could be very funny. Yo. How many of you here? You know what? Don't show hands. None of you are under any obligation to reveal yourselves. But to those of you that do or have worked full-time in video games, tripping over my words here. I'm gonna need some more coffee in a second. I'm gonna tell you a horror story. Hang on, now I'm gonna pause this. All right. Hang on. Now we've got to turn the light out for this. I'm gonna tell you a little horror story. Okay. Everyone wanna gather around. Gather around. This is some Goosebumps tier shit. Gather round. He says, choking on his coffee. Gather round. 'Twas a dark and stormy night. 'Twas a dark and stormy night. As one disrespect, doctor self-proclaimed, announced that his new video game would change the world. Ooh. His new video game would change development. Ooh. His new video game would produce a playable vertical slice for all users every 6 months. Yeah. Yeah, the fucking monster was coming from inside the house. All right, let's get the tunes back going. Vulcan or Warho friend. Basically, it was announced was it yesterday? Okay. So it's announced yesterday, so as I'm sure you're aware, because unfortunately we can't get away from the raging mustache deuce nozzle that is Dr. Disrespect, who has been who has been the face of a in development FPS title. The last time we heard about this was the Nufta bollocks that basically users were allowed to apply to get an NFT. Were allowed to apply for the right to buy an NFT that would allow them to be part of a 10,000 strong early adopter. So
Stop that incessant clicking.
How is that a name on Twitch? Jackie, thank you for gifting the sub. Yeah, so essentially, Alan, you got to pre-order the right to be part of the pre-order. It was announced yesterday that the team would be doing a vertical slice, a playable vertical slice for users every 6 weeks. Every 6 fucking weeks. And this would be the build that users would provide feedback on, and this is how the game would be tweaked and changed. And it's like, I cannot imagine a fresher hell. Like, joking aside, that is an unsustainable development cycle. And if you're unfamiliar with the term vertical slice, a vertical slice is a little snippet of your game, usually thrown around for the process of pitching to publishers or for like internal purposes or what have you. Oh, and to Delfrost, Watto. Good morning, hello. For most teams, a vertical slice is a very, very rough around the edges, works on my machine snippet of a game. So you can show like, all right, here's what a game might look like. It's not a demo. It's not a playable thing for consumers because like 9 times out of 10, you're literally running it out. You're literally compiling it on the rig you're playing it. And you most likely have to go through a lot of weird jankiness to be able to actually get it running. But again, it's meant to be used for a meeting room, which you show to an executive so they'll give you money, or to show to the rest of the team so people can get an understanding of where the game's at. It's never ever meant for consumers because a vertical slice and a demo are drastically different. A demo has to be playable and understandable. Like, you have to take the user's experience into consideration. A vertical slice is something like, if you were making a game, you might play a vertical slice for other people to show it. You don't hand those controls over other people. Yet, here this team, which is supposedly comprised of industry veterans, is apparently doing this. Yeah, Harmonious, doing a vertical slice every 6 months would be very, very concerning. And then the fact that users are supposed to feed back on that is completely
online. Sensors online.
Completely
Weapons
pointless.
online. All systems nominal.
Hold up, what's this? A random encounter. Roll a d20.
Alright.
It's a resub. And that 1 to 5 means saying something nice and dong the whole day voice for 5 minutes.
Oh no.
Everything over it means you have to say something positive about yourself without beating yourself.
No
in the
way.
foot.
I'm barely holding my shit together over here. But I will say sorry. Thank you kindly for 45 months. I hope you're having yourself a lovely Tuesday. No. We all have limits. We all have limits. I mean, Alice, you, and that's the thing, you could.
Do it.
I mean, I was down until it was like, say something nice about yourself. Oh, no. Not a chance. But, I mean, caffeine for 1,000. Feckin' yo. Caffeine, thank you for a feckin' 1,000 bits. Look, there are a lot of things I am prepared to do for the long ship. You know, friends, the lengths I am prepared to go for you lot. I will face my greatest fears. I'll burn my face off. I'll even face the hateful rays of the day star. But you want me to say something nice about myself today? That's not happening. That's the bridge too far. Sorry. And you know me, I don't like to be a party pooper. Deus, I can barely run 1,000 meters. Oh. Although I will say, Deus, there was a part of me that was like, I wanna see how far I could get, like being completely out of shape. Well then, caffeine, I get 2.5 weeks to panic. I mean, what nice things can I say about myself? I'm surprisingly resilient to death. I have the cadence of an undead cockroach. Wolfcat makes a good point. The K in 5K doesn't have to be a specific unit. It's just 5,000 of something. Oh, you glorious terrors. Satan's like, so 5 Kelvin. Good luck, popsicle boy. Okay, as a complete aside, did anyone see the billionaire ice cream truck that was doing the rounds? You can buy like a little Bezos face and bite its head off. 5K and a 5K? How about no? Whoa! Yeah, Fred, there we go. I could burn 5 calories. 5,000 calories. Nah. Fred, I tried. My cadence, my vocal cadence doesn't make it work. God. Oh, Fred, I did not know that, and now I'm learning. Oh, see, this probably shows you all how much exercise I do these days. I did not know that. No, look. Like, friends, I have come to fully understand that at some point to offset my lifestyle choices, I am going to need to start working out more. I've come to accept this. I've also come to understand that this will mean you lot will probably be involved. But I know whichever day we turn that feature on in whatever capacity, I'm going to be physically and emotionally broken. Okay, Deus has never breached 3,200 calories burned. Fascinating. I mean, have you ever tried being mad on the internet? That burns calories like you wouldn't believe. Yo, I'm learning a lot about fitness right now. I did not expect that. Phase shift with drop and give me. Let's start out with 1. I mean, I've got to be able to get to the point. Outer says, does Ring Fit crowd control exist? No, but it fucking should. The thing is, if Ring Fit was entertaining to watch the suffering, but that's more Ring Fit. Fiona and I got into a bit of a contest playing Ring Fit, but my gangly form gives me an unfair advantage in the way it measures movement. So because I'm all leg, I am basically a tiny person with super long legs. So for the way, aside from the squishy bar, the way Ring Fit measures your movements, like with the thigh motion sensor, it always looks like I'm doing way more. So doesn't quite. Yeah. Sorry, I went right off on topics there. Okay, so friendos. Just to quickly fill you in on today and this week and what's going on. So today we're going to be playing Strandings, which is a stranding game made by our good buddy and Airport for Aliens, currently run by dogs, individual Xalavier. Yes, I will be introducing him as the Ditizen of Denny's. What is it? The only CAN's voice actor and Ditizen of Denny's, Xalavier Nelson. But no, I've been really fascinated to try this game because there's this thing that developers do when they get really successful. And they start talking about how sorry, bear with me just a second, friends. Okay, sorry. I'm back. Yeah, Wolfgrad, it does feel like Xalavier's Game of the Week, and the amount of projects and titles that gentleman works on is fascinating. He's going to be joining us on the line from an actual airport. Whether it does or does not have dogs in, I do not know. We'll have to find out. But as for the rest of the week, there will be some changes to the schedule. Tomorrow would usually be our Hades day. However, some friends are working on a fascinating game. You might have heard me talk about Autonauts, an automation kind of RimWorld-style game where you have to use like a basic kind of visual scripting language to make little automated robots to help build a colony. They made an RTS sequel, Autonauts versus Pirates. We're going to play that tomorrow because I've wanted an excuse to show you Autonauts because despite its very, very cute external art style, it's feckin' interesting. And it's cool some friendos are working it. Now they added in feckin' Pirates. So that's going to be a little change tomorrow. Now, Saturday, because the rest of the week is, as you expect, we have our sponsored return to the Anacrusis on Thursday, which I am stupid excited for, but I really hope we can clear the weekly challenge before it gets changed. And Friday, Sea of Thieves, which I'm always so desperate for. Saturday. So Saturday, I have a thing I need to go to during the day. It is the Sober X IGDA X X Seattle Indies group picnic. So we're going to have a night stream on Saturday. We haven't done one of those in a while. What we will do really depends on us. But the game I have kind of stored in my back pocket is a game that none of you have played or wishlisted. Wait, what? You're all terrorists. There is no secret Discord. There is no secret Discord. Um, I need more coffee. Yep, no, I need more coffee. Oh, I've Drangos. Oh, I just remembered. Fucking brilliant. No, this is not the fabled placeholder. But I did. I'm always proud anytime I find a game on Steam that no one knows.
So you can say, you were playing the game before it was cool? Going old gamer hipster now?
I mean, that's going to be me with my smashed avocado toast and my cheeky scarf talking about Armored Core. And Bacon, thank you for the 200 bits, friend. Okie dokie. Sorry, just MDH was saying avocado toast always makes him think of going under. Okay. Oh yeah, and of course Bacon, the fancy hat. So, let's get into which Strandings. Let's get this party started. I'll blep at Xalavier, see what their status is, and we'll go from there. And we'll go from there. Sorry, friends, just a lot of little messages all at once. Oh yeah, okay. So, which Stranding? The thing I was talking about earlier, before I got distracted by stuff and things. So, the reason why I've been so excited to talk about Witch Stranding with you all, because I know you've probably seen Floydo's video or stuff on it, but there's this thing that especially old game devs do when they reach a certain level of success where they claim to make a genre. Because genres in video games, as I promise you won't go down that path of discussion, because I probably talked your ear off about it enough. But genres in video games are not set in the same manner as any other mediums, and there's nothing to stop you claiming a new genre. The irony being is that gaming genres are defined by users, not by creatives. Like, you as a person who makes video games don't get to say, this is my brand new genre. It's the users and how they interact with it that will define that. Do you know what I mean? And so, during the run-up to Death Strandings, Kojima was talking a lot about how it was a whole new genre of video game. Now, was it a new genre of video game? No. It was fascinating, and it had a different focus, but from a player's perspective, it's another third-person experience. Oh, I'm sure you know this, but like, you are your mouse cursor. Try moving. Oh, look at us doing a little move. Oh, look at how shiny it gets. Look at how shiny it gets. These are our shiny little friends. Oh, adventure. Woo. Oh, I am absolutely going to have to turn up the mouse sensitivity on this one. Nullifies hex tiles. You hear the green hum of souls stranded by choice. Nesting in the ground, they link each other for companionship, for warmth, and for a better future. Our Park program says, and this is why Dardism exists, to prove that devs can do that. But the thing was, with Hideo Kojima making a very, very big deal about making his own new genre, it would turn out that a project that Xalavier was working on hit upon the similar themes and thus became a Stranding type game. Now, if you haven't seen Xalavier's little videos on, you know, Twitter or TikTok or what have you, he'll, I mean, hopefully be able to explain it to us when he comes join us in a little bit. But the fact remained that a very prominent game developer claimed to make... Oh. I fucked up already. Ethereal senses overwhelmed, you lose your connection to the material plane. The void embraces you, but you see a light in the distance, calling you back to yourself. You lost a day for your work, but you will not lose your forest. Wee. 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 Back to life, back to reality. Yeah, I see. Aperio's... The Death Stranding Director's Edition also makes me think that maybe... Not... Okay, again, this is why I always try and say Kojima Productions rather than saying Hideo Kojima, because it's not one person that made that game. It's a whole fucking ass team. And it often gets attributed to one person. Settings, sensitivity, way up. There we go. Otherwise, this whole day is going to wreak havoc on my hand. Alright, sorry, just getting all set up. Okay. Click to examine items. Click and drag to move items. Ah, okay. That's the ticket, Grommet. No! Boosh. Boosh. Sorry. Shit, I keep losing my train of thought. I'm so sorry, friends. Oh, yes, just with Death Stranding Director's Edition, there's a lot of extra features that they add, which, in my humble opinion, detract from... just a low melodic sadness. Grotesque stone. Repairs. Missing piece of greater hull. Worries you. Repairs a ruined structure. Okay. Chad Shakespeare! My buddy! If you don't know Chad Shakespeare, then you've not been paying attention. Yeah, so Delta, as I was saying, I got to see gun mode long before everybody else. And whilst it is hilarious, it's hilarious for about 2 minutes. So we're going to be focusing on just having a little explore. And, I mean, once we're done through the tutorial, getting Xalavier in on this. And I may take your suggestion, friends, on the toggle grab. Oh, and sensitivity. Oh, okay, that's at max. Okay, so this might be an interesting day. A gnarled staff nullifies water and quicksand tiles. Okay. Nullifies poison and thorn tiles. Bird. It's just very slow. Bodies. Brambles. Cleared land. Structured trees. If you find the witch, tell her I'm sorry. Aww. Tutorial complete! Yay! Da-da-da-da-da-da, done a witch. Yeah, this is a gun-free day. Alright, so I'm just gonna blep at Xalavier, see his status. Okay. Let the game begin. Sorry, friends. Here was me starting like 3 and 4 different conversation topics all at once. So the TLDR was, I don't know. I really don't know if the Death Stranding Director's Edition is worth playing because it adds a lot of things that remove the parts which make it an interesting game, and it often feels like the listening to users' words, not their intent. A lot of people found Death Stranding to be a little bit too weird, a little bit too focused on like the deliveries and not enough on the action, which is where that game shines. The fact that a single corpse is essentially like just a nuclear bomb waiting to happen. Sorry, bear with me just a second. I'm just seeing if we can get a Xalavier. Okie dokie. Dark things live in this forest, and you are not one of them. You arrive quietly in a cloud of dust and magic, conjured by the forest itself in its very heart. A spirit of light to confront the dark of the witch who ruined it, one miracle at a time. Oh, you are your mouse cursor. Gently swipe away from sources of trouble, click to interact. Take care of the forest, it has no one else. Okay, so that's the forest's heart. The heart of the forest atrophies. It has no caretaker. There's no love here. Perhaps that can change. And if love can emerge from this darkness, maybe the forest can too. Lovely. This seems interesting. Yeah. No! Okay, I'm gonna try not to make this just the Will's incoherent screaming hour. Just spread out our small mushroom army. Oh. What's this? What's this? Longer than the buildings and the roads, and the inevitable march of progress, this tree has stood. The witch has not been able to topple it, and yet no one remember its name, not even me. That's a right good tree, that is. Okay, so we got enough mushrooms to basically build us a couple of little paths out. I can work with this. Through the mud. Alright. Let me just move this over here so I can chat with your lovely selves. And away we go. Well, that was ill-advised. Come, mushrooms. We have much work to do, you and I. Some seriously witchy stuff going on. No, oh! Here we have Xalavier. Hello, hello, can you hear us, good sir?
Hello.
If you are more than 3, 4, or 5, please make yourself available.
We're doing real good, how are you doing?
I'm in the middle of an airport, is what I'm doing.
There's something pique you about the announcement coming through first.
Yeah.
So you made another video game?
I sure did.
When do you
And
sleep?
we've got usually between the hours of 2 and 5 a.m.
That makes sense, that makes sense. Sorry, friends, I'm being a terrible, terrible host. So, the disembodied voice that is joining us from, which, you know what, actually don't tell us which airport, because this is Twitch, from an airport somewhere in the world, is none
An
other...
airport for aliens currently run by dogs.
An airport for aliens currently run by dogs. You may know him as the vocal talents of an overly sexualized soda can, or perhaps even the Ditizen of Denny's himself. Xalavier Nelson, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm sorry, I've been looking forward to doing that intro all day.
It's a delight to be here and a delight to be so joyfully greeted alongside airport announcements.
So remember that time that you attempted to take... Okay, you know what, let me record scratch. Park Programs was saying never has an interview ended so quickly. So no, firstly, I want to say congratulations on the release of this. Dude, this is fucking great already. I'm having to focus not on the game, but on chatting with yourself and our lovely viewership, because it's already got its claws in me.
That is what we were hoping. The funny thing is, I'm starting to get over a primal fear. One of the big fears you have as a creator is always, has the thing I am making been invalidated by the creation of something else? And I'm increasingly learning that until you hit a certain tier of mass market art, that isn't actually the case. Battlefield and Titanfall can absolutely cannibalize each other. But me going into a fugue state and saying, what if an entire world was made of inventory boxes and functioned as a living ecosystem, and also you control the entire thing by physically moving your mouse? Someone's absolutely going to do that. They're going to head us off at the pass. They're making one any day now. We have to make this in the middle of making Space Warlord Organ Sharing Simulator. I'm realizing, at least for the type of games I make, that is not a risk. We're making a survival horror comedy puzzle RPG right now. No one's going to beat us to the punch on that.
But did the uniqueness of this project give you an additional fear? Because, like, you know, I've been scratching at it, and I haven't really gotten into the topic proper of, you know, as I'm sure you've had to talk about this 1,000 bloody times already. You know, what makes this a Stranding game? But, you know, the thing we were talking about earlier is how, you know, at least from the perspective of Death Stranding, it felt like the lofty claims of an already successful developer saying, "Oh, my new game is so original and fresh, it's its own new genre."
That's a big reason I like Waffling. I like Waffling Group 2, so I like Waffling Group 2.
You were saying?
That when looking at Death Stranding as a game, it absolutely fits in existing genre molds. Thematically, it has some fascinatingly interesting additions, but, you know, it is still a third-person action game from a consumer standpoint, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say that, because you could say the same thing about, like, a stealth game and a third-person shooter. At the end of the day, you're still doing a lot of the same interactions, but the function of them is so different as to create a new genre, and I was surprised, especially not particularly idolizing Kojima, to come into Death Stranding and experience something that I would say is legitimately a new genre. I took the hyperbole as it is. I took it in the same tone that he said, "You will be ashamed of your words and deeds." And we were not ashamed of our words and deeds. We just looked at him and said, "You can just be horny on Maine. It's 2020.
Yep.
You can just..." At the time, it was 2015. You can just do that. But yeah, as far as which Strandings and Death Stranding goes, there's a really potent difference in terms of how third-person mechanics are used. And as far as the overall principles of what I would now call a genre, that stunned me, because they do genuinely point towards a different function of these established mechanical roots. So when you're playing... when you're playing Death Stranding, and then, you know, you see which Strandings comes along, and we're showing that those same genre principles can exist in something that is as far from Death Stranding as you can go, a micro-budget experimental 2D open-world game,
Yep.
as opposed to a multi-$100 million project starring Norman Reedus's toned ass.
It's a good ass.
It is. They do a good job with it, and I think it's really... I'm really excited to be making this game and releasing this game right now on the precipice of us recognizing what could be something very potent for the future of the industry. And credit where credit's due, Kojima has done this like 2-3 times in his career now, made a whole new dang old genre, and yeah, I'm not gonna take it from him. Dude, whatever you want to say about the man's idiosyncrasies, he knows how to create unique visions of what games can be that other people pick up the ball on and take in entirely distinct ways from that original.
1 through 4.
I mean, for anyone who's played any of the Metal Gear Solid series, that's absolutely... that's absolutely something that we've seen indicated. You know, we wouldn't see the Naughty Dog titles if we hadn't had, you know, Metal Gear Solid 2. At least in my humble opinion.
And, like, Metal Gear Solid, Peace Walker, and its extension of what the Monster Hunter formula could be and how that could apply to different genres, we've now seen in all kinds of projects by all kinds of other major publishers, just because Kojima comes into a genre and gives it a unique big budget spin, and I hope to be doing a similar thing in terms of taking a skewed perspective on what is seen as known territory or seen as impossible, and making that happen in a way that is hopefully sustainable, deeply human-centric in how me and my collaborators are treated during the development process, and making something really ambitious that people haven't seen before.
Well, I mean, we've seen that with the Android Saga. We've seen it with.
Android Saga.
Yo, look. I am so happy that everyone has been getting into Can Android Survive? Giant robots is a tricky space to be in, and to say anything in that area that hasn't been said before is surprisingly difficult. You know, you want to start talking about like some genre breaking that you've really not really been doing, because that makes it seem as if I'm saying this isn't. But some genre breaking stuff you've been doing, like Can Androids Pray, Can Androids Survive, are fascinating titles that do something in a space that no one else is doing. Like, I didn't bring you on here to just to toot horns, but it definitely warrants saying, dude.
I really appreciate that, and I'd say I respect the challenge of saying something distinct in, say, the stompy big robots genre, if you're trying to achieve the same goals as everyone else. As far as Armored Core, for example, if you're just trying to do this, if you're trying to do the same thing Armored Core has done, I hear decent things about Daemon X Machina, but I understand immediately the challenge that title comes across, because it is attempting to get the brass ring of video games, trying to get that algorithmic gold Steam top sellers list.
Well, actually, I think that's something we can
follow
talk about
in the space of a game series that has been present for a while. But when you're trying to do big stompy robots, again, what you are adding being generous, what you're adding distinctly to that genre is all in the details, and that's the very first thing to get lost. And
Very
that
true.
is, if I was making, say, something like that in the mech genre, I'd be far more concerned about, like, say, all signs point to From Software making a new mech game right now.
Yes.
And you're doing, like, meditations instead on mortality, or the military-industrial complex, using different gameplay mechanics and visualizations of mechs than we've seen before, then, yeah, I mean, at least to me, it doesn't seem more or less difficult than making anything else to operate in established genre territory. It's a matter of, are you in a place even to be able to explore these questions uniquely? And I'll readily admit, for the benefit of my peers in these spaces doing really great work, that it's hard to pitch to a publisher, hey, you know this thing that is successful? What if we took a left turn at it that might reject a large portion of the people who have ever worked in this space or played games in this space before?
Well, that was something
A lot of people aren't in that place.
That was something I really wanted to touch on with you, because... Oh no, where'd the raccoon go? Buddy! I was helping!
He moves a little bit every day. You gotta make
Cheeky
sure
bugger.
you gotta make sure you
Sorry.
keep track of the general range that he operates in.
Sorry, the thing that I wanted to touch on, as I'm zipping around in that, the thing I wanted to touch on was, you mentioned Daemon X Machina, and what's fascinating about that is that hits almost the Stardew Valley principle, which is a beloved title that is underserviced. You know, Armored Core has been unloved since the PS3, and it has a very, very dedicated user base, like people like myself. And so what Daemon X Machina tries to do is tries to emulate the experience of playing, so much so. It's not looking to say anything, it's looking to make you play it and go, oh shit, that sure is an Armored Core game that I just played. And hey, nothing wrong with that. But the thing that I find fascinating is, like, with stuff like Can Androids Pray, or Can Androids Survive, is it's not looking to do Armored Core with an unlicensed skin. It's looking to say something in this space. This is not Death Stranding's mechanical gameplay with another skin. This is a thematical... This is very much about the the thematics and the emotions of it, not the mechanics. And that's where I find it to be absolutely fascinating. And again, I didn't bring you on here just to toot horns. Friends, if you've got any questions for Xalavier while he's doing battle with airport terminals that are sadly, I'm guessing, dog-free at the moment.
Very few dogs I've seen today, and it's a loss for everyone involved.
Yes. So if you've got any questions for Xalavier, friends, please throw them in chat. I'll throw them across. Because the thing is, like, and I promise I won't get into this topic too hard. I love the talk about video game genres when it comes to... I love the discussion about video game genres because there's so much of our industry that comes from other places. You know, language that comes from, you know, movies and theatre and books and whatnot. But genres is our own unique space. Like... There aren't Stranding type books, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, Cormac McCarthy's The Road is right there.
Okay. You're not wrong.
You know, you have a really good point where, like, a unique thing that games has is you can take the exact same mechanical foundation of Metal Gear Solid, make it real American, and then say, oh, we've got Splinter Cell now.
Yes.
You can take Resident Evil 4 and put a sci-fi spin on that, and suddenly you're playing Dead Space. We can, within the same technological foundations, one thing that film has on us is the easiest thing that you can film is two people talking at a table.
Yeah.
And the most expensive thing you can make in games
It's two people talking at a
table. But the one thing that games can do is you can take, especially based off of the same technology, provided you have a foundation and can you still hear me?
Yes. I forget that you can't see me nodding along with you. Sorry.
Let me see. I'm also trying to just retweet whatever tweet you might have done about this stream.
Oh, I absolutely did a tweet about it, but I'm going to suddenly look at Twitter in just a second for completely unrelated reasons.
So, one interesting thing about genre is, especially if you can create a environment of expectation around that, proper expectation, and of saying something within the established foundations created, yeah, you can absolutely take the same thing, quote unquote, slap a new piece of paint on it, but in the refresh and changing thematics, say something completely distinct,
Yeah.
and give players a fundamentally different experience.
Yes.
And one of the most heartbreaking things about the state of AAA right now is they're making these immensely powerful and immensely powerful, groundbreaking, high fidelity worlds, mechanics, and overall foundations for experiences, and then they use it for a single game, and they throw it all out. Some of it might be still retained in some form to the next title, but the race to occupy the cutting edge and the institutional prejudice against reuse of content, same reuse that our medium is uniquely capable of to
Yes.
deliver new things to our players that are meaningful that no other medium could do.
It's also worth saying that with AAA, when it comes to those engines, they tend to brute force a lot of that quality. So rather than individuals like yourself, you know, if it's just you or you and some contractors, or you know, you and a team of like 4 or 5 people, you've got to work smarter, not harder. Whereas AAA is the exact opposite. It's like, oh shit, we're gonna do an upscale, we're gonna do a, you know, cross PS4, PS5 experience. How are we going to do that? Well, we're just going to hire more people. You know, a large proportion of... I'm going to pick on The Last of Us because they're really cheesing my biscuits at the moment. a large proportion of how they achieved such, quality and fidelity was just hire more people, have them work more.
There's a degree of that, but we also have this very tangible sense. I would call out Cyberpunk 2077 showed off some really, really fascinating technology.
Yeah.
For everything, including in particular, I'm thinking of how they built their game and their character faces such that automatic lip syncing could occur for character dialogue across languages. That's revolutionary technology. You could stick that into, especially if you commit for aesthetic, philosophical, and production reasons to a single foundation for a longer period of time. You could use that in 10 different fascinating games that have a unique capability that no other game could achieve. But in video games, we say, hey, if you didn't remake a table and chair set for this new game, you are effing lazy and you don't care about art. And also, we're going to give you a bad Steam review. And it's a strangling influence that, unless we change, I was doing tweets about the state of the industry earlier today by accident. But unless we change the way we make, discuss, play, and buy games, our medium is kind of slowly strangling itself with with these kind of like minor outliers that points to things maybe being okay. Long term, I think if we look at the patterns and trends of our medium, there's a lot of things that are not okay. There's a lot of things that are trending towards destroying the ability for games to exist uniquely, vibrantly, as only video games can, and we have to push back against that before it's too late.
I would personally throw in that, AAA has been unsustainable for a very, very long time. And, what we're seeing with, UE5 and the access that we're getting to some, like, high-quality stuff that you'd usually have to custom build an engine for, that's going to have a huge impact on individuals like yourself. I mean, I've talked everybody's ear off, but, like, if you're able to make a 3D project where you don't have to handcraft LODs, like, holy shit, that's a huge amount of work off your plate. And if that engine then comes with, like, a library of incredible photogrammetry recorded objects, like, holy crud. The way that games like Cyberpunk are made can't continue. But I'm happy, because what it means is that, as the Battleship game development dies, as we move into the next style, it's individuals like yourself that are coming up. Like, as engines provide more off-the-shelf resources, what you can create as an individual or as a team or as Strange Scaffold or what have you, that increases. You didn't have to make a brand new game engine for Skatebird.
Yeah, that's powerful, and my greatest fear during this time is that it would be speaking that game development, whether or not you're saying something. My fear would be that people would say, oh, this is easy because I have Unreal Engine 5.
I'm so sorry, friends. I think, unfortunately, Xalavier is absolutely getting roboted right now, so I'm just going to see if there's anything I can do here. Xalavier, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, the robot's got you. I'm so sorry.
Let me try to exit out and rejoin.
Okie dokie. Welcome back. Hello. Friends, see, we got talking about AAA good stuff, and I didn't get to ask your questions. Oh, no. Oh, no. And the Dreamer, what ho friend, hello, hello. If we get Xalavier back on the line, I will, Asori and Park Programs with Derek. I see your questions, I will throw them in. I did ask for them. I like them, they're good. Alright, let's try once more with feeling. Once more with feeling!
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can! Okay, so,
I was just, with Unreal Engine 5, my greatest fear is that there are certain burdens that are taken off of your plate when you're using a game engine. Yes, there's trade-offs and compromises, as in any situation.
yeah.
My big fear would be that, like, now that Epic has given us this immense library, and that there's certain tools that they've created, like water tools, right? Like, really extensive water tools, that players seeing those water tools in the same games will take that as a sign of laziness rather than because we didn't have to make water tools, we can dedicate those development resources building other things that are unique and say something unique and do something that only this game can do.
And I guess that's something we're gonna. Well, we won't know until it continues. I mean, the criticism of Unity came from a lot of quick turnaround titles, usually like cheap mimetic type situations, but there's also something to be said about how like Unity branded their lowest tier games. So the criticisms were unfairly leveled at the engine, and especially due to user misconception. Sorry. This is why I love talking to you, dude, because we always get into such great fucking things. But I did promise these lovely Mother Hubbards I would ask their questions.
All right.
First one, did you get stopped by security this time for carrying a stack of boarding passes?
Not this time. Oddly enough, since working on a game about an airport and finishing working on a game about an airport, I get stopped much less by airport security for a variety of things. I'm sure these events are in no way related, and I cannot wait to make another airport game and find myself in the exact same situation again for things that are probably totally coincidental.
Totally coincidental.
Actually, right now we're working on I can tell you and your lovely audience, since it's just us and a couple hundred of our best friends.
Yeah.
I can say that we're working on a game right now.
You're making a game? Fuck. Sorry, please continue.
It's a good goof. I'd say we're making a game right now where the unique piece of merch that we're going to make for it, I believe, is going to be custom poker chips.
Yes.
And that's something I'm very excited to start handing out to people. But also, I'm thinking through the logistics of how that's going to appear in my bags already. And I'm a little bit scared of that. And I'm also very scared that if I bring this to one of the most prominent events in video games, for those who aren't familiar,
DICE.
is DICE. DICE happens in Las Vegas, actively in and around casino floors. So me handing fraudulent poker chips to business partners and connections and friends while on casino floors is something I'm actively thinking and figuring out how to deal with that. Because I'll tell you,
please don't get bounced by the pit boss, please.
Yeah, I'm afraid of airport security for various reasons, but I'm even more afraid of security. And they have long.
Yeah. An airport run by poker chips. The next question, so Park Programs had a really good one, which was, Eric hasn't played Death Stranding. What makes this Stranding, but not Can Android Survive? What makes this a Stranding type game, but Android Survive not a Stranding type game?
So, I think the three principles of a Strand type game are you can see in descending order how each one contributes to the whole. The first is that the objective of being in a Strand type experience is to nurture individuals and or a community. The reason you're playing this game, your objective as a player is to nurture. The way you do that is by transporting things. The second layer is transportation. So by moving things from place to place, you nurture a world. By bringing things to people, you support a community. The final thing that brings those other two layers together and is kind of running underneath everything else is, I believe, physicality. Okay. It is not a Strand type game if you are not nurturing an environment, transporting things to nurture that environment or those people within it, and then if the game does not have a heavy emphasis on the physicality of bringing things from place to place. In Death Stranding, this took the form of a very finely rendered Norman Reedus, physically transporting, hurling things across the world, and the player actively dealing with the logistics of, I have 100 pounds on my back, 100 kilograms rather, and there's a big storm coming, and also there are ghosts that want to kill me.
Yes.
How do I make this thing work? And then problem solving through that. Can Android Survive? It puts to the side a lot of the logistics of delivery. You are evading things to deliver things. You are making sure to bring your cargo back. But for example, you can carry as much cargo as you want at a single time. There isn't really a heavy emphasis on delivery limits or the physicality of those packages in the real world and how that impacts your chassis. On the other hand, in Strandings, every single thing you decide to physically pick up and impact, the entire philosophical principle of the game is you are nurturing this forest by choosing to make intentional actions, step by step, addressing corruption with intentional constructive action.
Yeah,
you say, here's the first portion of the forest. I'm going to drag this haunted mushroom to this portion of the forest to cleanse it and make a pathway for myself and others in the future.
So I can move, berries, medicine, and what needed from one place to varying cute animals of the forest.
Exactly. So, like, the fact that you are taking your hand and you are physically dragging that across your desk, and it takes actual effort to bring one place to another, and you're thinking through the logistics of doing that. I believe that this, combined with the other principles, makes Strandings a Strand type game as opposed to Can Android Survive, which has delivery mechanics, but it's not itself a Strand game.
Yes, you deliver things in androids, but I mean, not to spoil the experience for anybody, but that's not why you're there.
Ultimately, you're there to kill the moon. We've talked about this. This is a public fact.
Kill the moon.
You're there to kill the moon. In Strandings, your job is to nurture the forest. The absence of blind aggression against our lunar neighbor is evidence of this being a Strand type game.
And sorry, friends, I've got the game paused. I haven't managed to tweak all the audios, and I don't know how long we have your company for, Xalavier. So I will I'll get back into demonstrating the game while we're chatting. The gorgeous rain effects we're drowning out a little bit. And of course, that's when the robo voice kicks in. Of course. I don't know. Do we have your return? I mean, I'm with Eric. The moon is the sun's knowing accomplice, so I'm down for a preemptive strike. Just saying. We may have lost Xalavier again. Hello, sir.
Hello. I was saying that you got me for about another 20 minutes.
Woo! Well, then let's continue having a natter, and then I can go back to showing people the lovely haunting elements of the forest. So, friends, if you have any questions,
what happens if you roll a d20 while we're talking?
Who was someone asking specifically? Because I can do it. Like, I'm packing.
You roll a d20 while we're having a matter, and it hits a 20. Would that make it a natural 20?
Hey! Da-da-da-da-da-da. I rolled a 19, so your joke does not land. The joke does not hit.
Yeah, you know what? I needed a critical. I needed a critical for that, and I shouldn't have risked it all.
You risked it for a biscuit. Now the biscuit is gone. We were just discussing the fact that the moon does need to go. I was saying that attacking the moon first, the moon is basically the sun's knowing accomplice, and so I'm very down for a preemptive strike. Park Programs is saying that the moon is a hidden mech, either a transformer or like a Gurren Lagann type situation, and it's got to go. It's got to go. And like Shaka was making some very good points about how, like, you know, MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV have a lot of deliveries in them, but they are not Strand type games. Mainly because it's outside of kind of sweeping narrative elements, you don't really have an effect on MMOs as a whole. But that's another story.
I'd also say, like, so there's a notable, something that crushed me early in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
It was a really effective moment, but like, something horrific happens, and you end up having to take the bodies of your friends from the site where they have fallen and deliver them to the hearse so that they can be taken to a burial site.
Yeah.
It's a really rough time. But because this is an MMO, the form this takes is you go up to an interaction point, you hold the button, or rather, like, you press the button to let the interaction play out, and then it pops up like a little inventory thing, and you put it into your inventory, and you are basically now invisibly carrying your dead friend, taking them to the hearse driver, who's very rude. You're experiencing a lot of feelings, and you put the thing from your inventory into the inventory of the hearse, and you do that a few times. If that was a Strand type game, I mean, even in Death Stranding, you physically pick up bodies and you have them on your back, and you're now going through the process of, how do I take this body up a mountain?
Yes, and for those of you who didn't see it, like, and taking bodies specifically in Death Stranding is one of the more complicated packages, because bodies move around, they're wobbly, you can't stack things on a corpse, so it means almost all of your back is gone in terms of, like, transportation, and throughout Death Stranding...
It becomes a distinct challenge, and
yes.
Final Fantasy XIV's mechanics are not based around any of that challenge.
I mean, shit, Wrath of the Lich King had a scene where you have to identify the corpses of your team, and it's basically like a 1 out of 5. You run over and go, that sure is a body of my friend, and then run over to another one. Boy, that's another body.
We've all been there.
We've all been there. Blackpool. Corpse Stacker. That'd be a cool game. If it's not one...
I haven't not thought about it.
Stack that corpse! God. Okay, so there was one thing that I wanted to ask you. Oh, to Smug Rainbow Pony. Watto and welcome. There was one thing that I wanted to ask you, which is a little bit off of Death Stranding, but somewhat off of Witch Strandings, but somewhat relevant, is that how has it been working on games that are so thematically different? Like, I don't know if you're involved in new Hypnospace Outlaw, but I assume so?
I am not currently involved. I was asked, and the door is open, but
okay.
I'm not. I can say I'm not currently involved because I'll just be honest. I made a fake internet once. I don't know if I can do it again.
The raps and rhymes that you put into that fake internet will live on in my heart forever. But so you've got El Paso Elsewhere. You've got this. And I believe you announced another project that you're involved with. Like, thematically and emotionally, these are drastically different games. Like, how's the whiplash on that?
The whiplash is intentional. It's the only way that my brain can exist. If I was in a single brain space for a long period of time and I had to be stranded Yes.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
If I could be stranded in a room with the game when it was working, when it wasn't working, when we're trying to figure out what it was, I feel like I would lose my mind. So aside from, for sustainability's sake, having multiple things on the go for strange scaffolds, the idea of veering between tonalities and experiential goals and keeping those straight, but also directly benefiting from the growth that each one encourages. Making Space Warlord, I learned about near the end of the Space Warlord process,
Yeah.
these things called viaticals, life settlements. Essentially, you can sell off the right for someone else to be the beneficiary on your life insurance policy, and in return, you get some of that payment up front, and they get the payment when you die.
What
And
the fuck?
we didn't. That guess when that became a thing and became a really big thing, and guess when that became a thing and when it became a really big thing.
Holy shit!
A little thing in the 80s called the AIDS epidemic. A lot of gay people attempting to take care of their partners and loved ones before they died took out these things called viaticals. Investors bought the rights to profit from their lives when they died, and there was active fury in the market when the first treatments were discovered for AIDS, because suddenly these people were living longer, which meant that it would take longer to get the payout on their bodies.
Fuck, that's dark.
That is not something that we had the opportunity to really use in Space Warlord outside of to drive our raging fury at the patterns of capitalism. But it was something that actively is knowledge, because we've got several other projects on the go. We can say, how does this apply to a different project? How does this apply to our overall knowledge of the world?
Okay.
We get to, in a very free and joyful way, I'd say especially in my department, sort of overseeing these things as creative director, writer, designer, I get to learn at what feels like hyperspeed and apply the different bits of knowledge and experience and even just practical things of, hey, make sure that this font is always this size when we use it in the game, and have those immediate benefits propagate across every project we're working on. It's a really exciting thing that works uniquely with my brain, and I'm very honored to have the experience to live out that process.
Okay. Oh, and to Smug Rainbow Pony, lovely to meet you proper. I'll have to thank Floydo. Now, Aperios actually added a kind of a follow-up question to that, which I think is very important. Are there any projects you wish you could have spent more time on? Because, you know, video game creation is, at its heart, like a resource management experience, you know. Anyone could work on a game indefinitely if they really wanted to. So are there any projects that you would like to either revise or revisit or wish you could have spent more time on?
Honestly, for my directorial work, the answer has continued to be no, which has made things like the post-launch period of Space Warlord really weird and difficult.
Okay.
Because, I mean, outside of making and shipping the game, and I think the first big patch you do immediately after the game to address, you know, whatever might have been the bugs you didn't catch or like little bits of quality of life.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate in the sense that Strange Scaffold has consistently, we've shipped the games that we've wanted to exist in the form that we wanted them to exist. So Space Warlord, for example, we're about to reveal news for its next big patch. It's going to be a big one. It's really exciting. But the thing is, even because of the type of game it is and the sort of research distribution of it,
Yeah.
I can say we're adding a new organ. But because of how Space Warlord works, adding a new organ reduces the chances of other organs to pop up once you've unlocked it, which means quests get harder because you're inherently waiting for the systems of the world to give you the things that you need.
Yeah.
And I keep looking at it and saying, it's really cool we get this opportunity to, for example, work with Among Us and Inscription and Bug Snacks. We've got a really exciting boost of content coming online in the very near future. But that is all. This is all non-essential for what we wanted and needed the game to be.
Yeah.
And when there's 6 other projects we've got going internally that I could be turning my attention to, it feels vaguely discomforting to still be like sitting here in the room with Space World being like, so still need something, huh? I still need to write you? Okay.
No, that's fascinating. And also, like, congrats on all the big crossover stuff, dude. That's fucking rad.
Thank you. Yeah, that was we announced that when we announced the physical edition and the we announced that when we did the physical edition and announced the physical edition and the vinyl. So can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Headphone drop. So we announced that when we did the physical edition and the vinyl. So yeah, Among Us, Inscription, and Bug Snacks content coming to Space World Organ Trading Simulator soon.
Fucking yo. I don't know if you heard it here first, friends, but I certainly did. Obviously, the big crossover that we're all waiting for is the Longship X El Paso Elsewhere, with the star of An Airport for Aliens, currently run by Dog's Posh Dog, reprising maybe not the role, but certainly the picture.
Yes. Have you sent me the picture in the form that I need for that?
Yes, but if you need me to send it again, I can.
I would love for you to send that to me again. I believe that we have it, but yeah, that's also a thing that's going to be happening. I have complicated feelings about the fact that your dog is going to be surrounded by sprays of viscera from haunted creatures, but she's going to look good while doing it.
Yep. Although I will say, people aren't ready for El Paso Elsewhere. I got to play the pre-GDC build, and yes, just yes. Sorry, there isn't that again. That's not an interview question. It's just a good game, and people are really going to enjoy it.
That's what we're hoping.
Sorry, Amos has not auditioned to be in El Paso Elsewhere. That's our newest pup. River obviously being the talent of the household.
Hey, you know what? Sneak in the new pup like a Baldwin. We can always have more. Just get a chain of Longship dogs into train scalpel projects.
Done, dude. Done. But no, the other thing that I did want to touch on was like, Witch Strandings is a fucking weird game in the best way. It is purely mouse control. It is very...
for purely mouse controlled, except for a secret that you will be coming to later in the game.
Yes, I did wizard veto the gun Easter egg today, because I remember you showing me that ages back. I think at like a gig or something, and it was very funny when you unleashed that on Barry. I could not handle that many explosions today, so I wizard vetoed it. But no, the visual style of Witch Stranding is more evocative of like early Ultimate games, and then like acid soaked. It's very interpretive. Its control system is very weird and different. And yeah, we've seen it through gangbusters. Like loads of people have played it, showed it off. It looks, at least from what we can tell on the outside, it looks like it's done really well. And that's something to be fucking shouted from the rooftops. I'm a big proponent of different and weird and strange, and it's lovely to see. It's lovely to see it doing well. Again, I keep just making statements at you, dude. I should form these as a question.
I mean, I appreciate like the thing you're getting towards. I think one thing that I will continue to bang the drum on is weird is feasible, weird is profitable if you precisely plan how much time and money you're putting into a given project. Katamari Damacy honestly probably would not exist in today's market because doing a mid-tier AA size release even has so many logistical burdens placed upon it, from localization to porting to multiple consoles at launch, that it inflates significantly the risk attached to each project, and as a result, then the project has to get larger to justify that risk, and it becomes this vicious cycle. Like if you look at the Game Boy era, if you look at the DS era, if you look at the PS2 era, a lot of buck wild stuff, which we've had some franchises survive from that time, which is always nice. But a lot of buck wild stuff emerged in that time because it was made in an environment where it was cheap and fast enough to produce the specific vision they wanted on it. In time, Switch Strandings, if it has a $5 million budget, might be a really, really risky bet, especially if it still is mouse controlled and minimal. But if it's not, then suddenly you can say this can exist and this deserves to exist because, quite simply, you just align the budget and timeline with it that gives it the space to be as weird as it needs to be. I feel like we've seen this a lot in film. You see it sometimes in music. We get outsider art by creating the conditions for outsider art, and that is why you cannot separate products from the process necessary to create them.
Yes, I mean, we talked about it earlier. I'll talk about it until I go blue in the face, but the Battleship game development methodology is just not sustainable. And what that is, friends, is as the games become more and more AAA, more and more successful, you need more and more people to make them, which means they cost more and more money, which means they need to make more and more money back, which means that if they are a little bit weird and a little bit off, they don't make that cash back and the studio dies because they're banking the whole farm on each release. There've been times throughout like our industry cycle when we've seen teams producing sensible budget projects within environments. That's where we get our Suda 51s. That's where we get our weird Game Boy Advance games and quirky shit like that. Right now, that's kind of...
Boktai, another Hideo Kojima game.
Yeah.
Used sunlight, and it was a Game Boy game.
Yep. Do we want to bring up Ape Escape? Do we want to escape those apes?
Yeah, I mourn the fact that Ape Escape does not exist now because I would love to design a modern day Ape Escape. I can see it. Yeah. But a modern day Ape Escape within the environment that it's currently in, it's not going to sell as much as a Marvel Spider-Man.
Yes.
Making it super, super high fidelity does not make sense. And so there's even ways in which the Battleship game development cannot produce certain titles now. Because how are you going to throw 500 people in an Ape Escape game? Does it make a better game? Does it make a game that's more profitable? Very likely, no.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I get grumpy a lot of the bigger teams is because the times when they have done like small internal projects. Okay, so one of the ones that we've talked about a lot here, Generation Zero, is a tiny team inside, I believe, Avalanche, the team that are known for Hunter, Call of the Wild, and the Just Cause series. And they gave a tiny team inside a AAA studio the freedom to create something. And it's weird, it's quirky, it's broken in a whole bunch of ways, but boy howdy has that game made its money back and then some. And it's definitely one of the fresher open world experiences.
It also it carries some of the burden of success because in a previous age we might have seen a Generation Zero 2 or like a Generation Zero spinoff because of the current algorithmic metagaming that can occur to to produce successful games in today's market. Generation Zero came out, was a success, and now has been in development for like the past 5 years and continues to pick up a larger and larger team. And what that means is there's probably a small chance that Avalanche will give another tiny crew that kind of opportunity again, because now they have a second, now mid-sized game crew that needs to find a mid-sized game to produce. And if it's Generation Zero branded, it has all the expectations of the game that they didn't ship at launch, but have been making for the past 5 years.
Yes, it does mean that a Generation Zero 2 is likely to make a decent wedge of cash as well. Now, again, the fact that a sequel makes money like that with an expectation of increase is partially the reason we got into Battleship development in the first place. But that's another story.
The vicious cycle stops when you stop the cycle.
Yes. So jumping
you have to push back again.
So I've got a couple more questions before we lose you to the skies.
Great terminology.
So Park Programs was asking again, do you have a preference or aversion to to developing 2D or 3D games?
Whatever fits the vision of the game. I'm always looking for what's allows the message of the game, the mechanics of the game, and the perspective of the team to reverberate the loudest.
Okay.
Sometimes it's 3D, sometimes it's 2D, sometimes it's a 2D game. It's a 3D game wearing a 2D game's skin, and that's whatever the game needs.
I will always take that answer, especially over anyone who says 2.5D. That's still Russell's majimmies. Now, Aperios had an interesting question, and if you can't talk about this, I completely understand. But Aperios wants to ask, how was working with Game Pass? They have so many questions about the Game Pass program, and they wanted to know, how was it for you?
Game Pass was an incredible experience. I remain stunned by, especially for how the game is called Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. The fact that they said, "Hey, is it going to get worse/weirder than this?" And we're like, "No," and they were like, "Okay," and didn't check in or be like, "Hey, so for reals though, is this going to get uncomfortable?" It speaks to the trust that they have in our team and that we've built up, and I'm very thankful for that. But it also speaks to the fact that Xbox's current approach seems to be find and identify creators that are consistent and bankable, that you can trust, and then give them money and then get out of their way. So they put very few burdens on our process. They were deeply supportive, and they gave us a chunk of money to release something very idiosyncratic and odd. So, yeah,
it's because you got that Connect support going. That was what cinched you that deal. The Connect support. Actually, Laura did.
To be honest, they were terrified by the whole Connect support dynamic, and that's an entire question/conversation for another day. But when they were talking about we'd have to dig up, we'd have to figure out how to QA a Connect game again. We were like, okay, no, that's not something we're doing. We are not shipping it with the console versions, just with the PC.
Laura hooked us up. I've got a Connect behind. I can do this. It can happen.
Yeah, I mean, people have been playing it. But it's only for the PC version of the game, because God knows we are not going to go through Connect QA in 2021 and figure out what that looks like. But I'll just say, we also did not see our sales in any way suffer from Game Pass. If anything, they increased significantly with both the marketing support and the presence in the program. So, nothing but good things to say about Game Pass as an indie specifically.
No, that's
Xbox's approach to their portfolio, as long as it continues in this regard, is a really positive one that splits the balance for the market that we are currently experiencing, as well as the recession that is continuing to grow like a tidal wave. The thing that is going to be a danger is what you see with other programs, such as a prominent mobile program, which has single-handedly eroded the environment for premium sales on that platform. If you are not inside of that mobile subscription, you are dead in the water to a not insignificant degree. And if you are in that mobile subscription, the amount of burdens placed upon you to participate and collaborate with that partner are extreme to the point of madness.
True. I mean, that's been my worry about the move to the Game Pass system. But so far, I think the great difference we've had is that we're not reliant on one form of hardware. You know, it's not like when it comes to mobile games, if you're not on one of Apple's carousel promotions or on their subscription service, you're fucked. I could say this. Even back in the day, the success and failure of a mobile project was: do you know someone at Apple? Can they put you on the carousel? That's win and loss. We're lucky in PC gaming, whereby Steam don't make the rigs that we play the games on. They don't control the entire process. So there's still a decentralization, at least in that regard. But it's all new territory, and it's fascinating. I want to highlight one little thing, just in case we lose you in the next couple minutes. But the thing I really want to highlight is I still remember in vivid detail our little conversation when we did the stream of Cellular Harvest, and how you talked about the evolution of indie, the pizza money philosophy, things like that, which I've talked about a lot. And it's lovely to see where you and Strange Scaffold were at Cellular Harvest and where you and Strange Scaffold are now. It's really good to see, dude.
How long has it been?
Cellular Harvest stream was 2 years.
No.
Well, think about it, because it was early. It was after we met our gig.
I'm looking at the Cellular Harvest release date. Cellular Harvest came out.
And this was the itch.io version of Cellular Harvest as well.
Yeah, I'm looking. Cellular Harvest came out.
Cellular Harvest did get a Steam release, didn't it?
Very original. Yeah, it came out at a time. 2020?
Dude, August 2020 was the Steam release. I don't even know when it came out on itch.
Looks like June. That is sure a game that came out 2 years ago.
Okay, so friends, whilst the announcements was drowning out Xalavier, the link I've dropped in chat is Cellular Harvest, another one of the games that Xalavier has worked on. It is Pokemon Go and then some. Just it's $7. If you will trust me on a game, if you don't know about this title, if you didn't see it streamed, pick it up, play it with as little information going in as possible, because it's a trip.
I can't believe it came out 2 years ago. I was sure it couldn't have been more than a year. Jeez.
Yeah, dude. Welcome to time travel. As a British person, I always have a non-zero chance of becoming the next Doctor, so I am well versed in time travel.
I think you'd make a good Doctor Who.
I'd make a fucking disaster, but it would be entertaining to watch.
I would love to see a sloshed Doctor Who, and only you could bring this to life.
There's not been a pisshead Doctor Who, canonically, unless you count all the mashups of Malcolm Tucker and that particular Doctor. Antonari Watto. So Xalavier, how much of your time do we still have?
You've got time for maybe one more question.
Alright. let's see if there's a good banger. Okay, I mean, this is always a good classic, and especially considering how different Which Stranding is, I think this is a really good one. What was the one thing that you learnt most from developing Which Strandings?
I think the number one thing I learned from developing Which Strandings is that teams massively benefit from being given focused places to apply their experience. One of the struggles of even like one of our bigger projects, like an airport failing is kind of run by dogs,
Yeah.
is when you've got your hands to the plow on a single thing for a while, it can be hard to even feel your own progress. So in the middle of Space Warlord, seeing that what we could pull together and how fast we could pull together something really effective and beautiful and ambitious as a team, having had the experience of working together on Space Warlord, was an incredible confidence booster. It really benefited the rest of the Space Warlord Organ Training Simulator development process. I'd say if you can afford it, I now highly recommend in the middle of a project taking time to complete and ship a different project that is small and focused, because what you get from that is that midstream boost of confidence in your work and your perspective and in your effort, but also in your growth as a human being. And given how, especially if you're working on one thing for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, God forbid,
Yeah.
it can be so hard to witness that growth, or frankly to grow, when you still have to produce the same thing from the same perspective. It is something I now embrace actively and look forward to more opportunities to explore in the future.
Way cool. I mean, that's some genuinely practical advice. I'd also like to thank the additional chiming in of Game Development Baby. I didn't realize Game Dev Baby was joining us this evening, or this afternoon. So I'm really grateful to have their input on this.
Thank you so much for having me once again and for playing and enjoying Which Strandings. It's now
Fuck yeah,
available
dude.
on Steam if folks dig it. And it still, I think it still has a launchy discount, so check it out while you can.
It does still have a launch discount, so biggity bam, get some Witch Jam. But no, dude, thank you for joining us. You know I love chatting about this stuff, and we'll have to steal you again at a less baby infested location.
Sooner than later, I pray and promise.
All right, dude. To be continued.
To be continued. Until next time. Take care, Longship. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye. All right, and that was Xalavier. So let's get back to a spot of Which Stranding. I mean, actually, I'm gonna go get myself a cup of coffee in just a second. But yeah, it's always fucking lovely to catch up with Xalavier, because dude has a very, very unique perspective on the industry. So fucking yo. Delta. That was Xalavier, who worked on this game, an airport for aliens currently run by dogs, Hypnospace Outlaw, Skatebird, Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, a whole bunch of strange and interesting and different titles. So yeah, that was bloody lovely. Now we can continue putzing about with this. Secure ourselves a path through the watery depths. Oh, Mega Boss. Well, good luck doing battle with the damnable sky pressures. This looks lovely. What the bloody hell are these? And there's a whole bunch of things that... Alright, you're injured, so let's go get you some goodies. I mean, that's one of the things, friends, that talking with Xalavier is always fascinating. And the sheer amount of knowledge in the space. No! No! The sheer amount of knowledge he has in the space is something that. You know what, friends? I am going to go get a cup of coffee. Then let's continue, because I've realised that I've forgotten how to speak people words. If you would like to pick up a copy of Which Stranding, it's currently on 10% off. And I want to get back to talking about weird games, talking about strange nonsense. The thing that Xalavier touched on that I'd love to chat with you all about today was the AAA battleship development style, you know, the kinds of teams that make games like Cyberpunk and whatever Ubisoft's next big flavor of nonsense is, whatever the next big Marvel video game is. Like, I kind of want to talk about that today because we are seeing a lack of creativity in that space. I've been very surprised to hear that apparently the Guardians of the Galaxy video game is very good, and that genuinely surprises me because, for all intents and purposes, that has all the hallmarks of being yet another AAA flavor of nonsense. I find it thoroughly fascinating that they were able to do something creative in that space. On the same day that we found out that the remake of The Last of Us Part 1 is going to be $60 to $70. Now, users are saying, like, if there's nothing added new, why should I pay that much again? The thing that strikes me is, why are they remaking that game for the third time? Why is that a thing that they feel the need to go for? But let me go get a cup of coffee. Let's keep chatting on all of these. Yeah, this is gonna be a good little day. And I don't know if who's a lovely individual that joined us. Smug Rainbow Pony is still here. I didn't get a chance to say a proper hello when you came in, because yeah, as I'm sure you heard, we got like a little bit of Xalavier. Must not make number 5 joke. We got a little bit of Xalavier's time, and like, I've been lucky enough to know Xalavier now for a few years, and there are very few people who are as clued in on how to actually make independent development work as himself, and it's lovely to be able to get some of his time. It's basically like him and Rami, you know what I mean? Alright, coffee time, and then we'll continue with the game. And I think what I'll do is I'll just make a bunch of pause breaks, so I don't get too enraptured by this. So, hold that thought, friends, hold that thought. So here's a lovely turn of events. I'm not as sunburnt as I thought I was going to be. I volunteered to go acquire... Hey, baby boy, what do you need? Oh, take my life. Alright, back in a second, friend. So close. So close. Alright. Sorry about that, friends. Right. Coffee has been acquired. I looked at my own stupid face and realised I'm not as sunburnt as I thought I was. So, kind of happy about that. Because, like I said, I decided to go help acquire some of the devil's lettuce yesterday. And I did not take into consideration that I would be walking only a couple of blocks, right? Like, it wasn't like I was going off on a fucking... I can't open this fucking bag. Fuck my life. It wasn't like I was going off on a massive hike or anything. It was only a few blocks, but I didn't take into consideration there was no shade. So as I went through that, I ended up getting feckin' crispy yesterday, turning me into very little of a useful individual. However, the friendo that came over yesterday brought me Drangos, the premium on-stream snack, dried mangoes. Drangos to the initiated, to the cool. So jumping back in. Oh, MDH is back. What, ho friend? Hello, hello. And yeah, so Delta Frost, it's been kind of a known thing. What tends to happen is a studio reaches success. So they hire people to do the things they couldn't do on the last project, which means the team is bigger. In video games, the cost of development is people. Everything else is kind of throwaway unless you're small. Like, game engines, don't worry about it. You know, they're only a fraction of the cost of, you know, hiring a team of individuals. Licenses, rigs, I guess, like, rented space can be a little large. But again, that's only if you're a smaller team. The cost of video games is people. So, the more people you have on your project, the more expensive it becomes, and the more money you've got to make back. You know who's a great example of, like, the slow bloat to AAA is BioWare. BioWare were a lean and scrappy team for quite some time, which is why some of their early releases weren't 100% stable. Rango! Most of us really became aware of BioWare from Knights of the Old Republic. And Knights of the Old Republic was very much a shorthand for... one of you would be able to tell me the tabletop system that it's based on. But Knights of the Old Republic was a traditional role-playing game. Hang on, let me... As the success of that increased, future titles, they hired more people, increased the fidelity of their animations, started moving from RPG to action mechanics, and by the time they hit Mass Effect, like, they had a big, big team. They had that EA money behind them, and it's worth noting that while a publisher should remove the scary parts of game development, that, you know, you have to make your money back on the studio shutters, it adds a whole new level of scary, which is you have to do battle with the internal politics or demonstrate your value once you are owned by a publisher rather than working with them. And that's a whole nother kettle of monkeys. And there's a lot of kettles and a lot of monkeys we can unpack today. I got nowhere else to be. I got Drangos. I'm happy. Now, Wolfgrad, you're entirely correct. Managing a large team is its own skill. Video game production changes so drastically when you have a large team. Like, I always loved the term campaign when referring to video game development because, to be honest, like, taking a game from concept to launch with a team larger than 50 is a feckin' mission and a half, let me tell you. Also, really enjoyed just the ambient watery noises. It's lovely.
Without a publisher, you're constantly fighting to exist. With a publisher, you're constantly needing to justify your existence.
Yeah. I mean, how many years have we been chatting about this, Shackle? I'm not surprised that you know that, but it is something that's worth discussing. It's one of the reasons why the Game Pass business model has been so interesting, because it somewhat changes that dynamic. Value has a very different proposition in that space, but that's another story. A new day dawns. A new hand touches the beacon. I'm just trying to remember where I stashed the medicine. Is it over this way? Yeah. Oh, there's a little raccoon friend. I don't think we can get to him through the ponds. See how he's doing. He is thirsty. That's right, we've bought him some berries. Nice. Okay, Wolfgrad, thank you for filling the pint glass. And Shackle was saying they got their last class to 80, only 16 levels to go. Nice. The Perios, don't make me come over there. Don't make me come kick your ass. I'll do it. No, I won't. World's most one-sided fist fights. But...
The world is a vampire and the sun is a deadly space laser. We are fact. Smile.
Ah, yes, that was also my favourite Smashing Pumpkins song. And Bacon, thank you for the 200 as well. Alright, there's the fawn. Donna. More than her ex. Days helped too. Alright, so that gets the fawn sorted. Is there someone around this way, or did I completely forget that? Oh yeah, here we go. There's a frog up this way. Oh, it was the frog was injured. Oh no! I was supposed to go into that. Sorry, have a lovely rest of your evening. Ethereal senses overwhelmed. You lose connection to the material plane. The void embraces you, but you see the light in the distance. You will not lose this forest. Yes! Though this bit does remind me of Rainworld quite a lot. Wolfgrad, don't make me come over there. Wolfgrad's like, I could be an excellent ideas guy. Alright, so we need to go get another one of those, here we go, these healing tonics. And then go bring that to the frog. What was I nattering about? Oh yes, just like the size of teams. See, you'll notice that, you know, with Xalavier's projects, you know, Strange Scaffolding is a lot of different people, like, mostly... I want to say mostly contractors, because that sounds very reductive. It's more the case of, like, Xalavier bringing together small teams on a project-by-project basis, which is very smart. What's up, Brog? Ah, repairs a ruined structure. Alright, well, we've got a structure to repair right over here, don't we? Okay. Did we just do a good? Is this a good thing we just did? I think so. Sorry. There's like, what's that? Someone's looking for idea, guys. Oh my god. Terrors, I love you. I'll tell the king of video games what you said. Okay, so that's just very slow. Can use one of that. And you can have that for later. The king of video games, the idea guy. You're just seeking to do me a damage today. I can sense it on the winds. But it's interesting when you start looking at teams and seeing how they grow and change and how that environment changes them. I mean, do we want to talk about Blizzard? You know, once seen as one of the great... Once seen as one of the great creative hotbeds of our industry. Oh. Perios, is this just because we had like a really good chat with Xalavier that you now feel the need to be an absolute terror? Is this you just balancing things out? But... You know what, J-Post? You make an excellent point. And thank you for the 100 bits. Sorry, Aperios was saying Blizzard seems like a chilly subject at the moment. Oh, and MDH, Xalavier wouldn't have been able to see the dab. Oh, okay, this nullifies quicksand. Alright, we know where that is. Xalavier literally joined us from the airport. Moth pad, it's a moth pad. Oh, Chainsaw Man's outside. The budget version of Chainsaw Man. Sure, I'm glad Leaf Blowerman's come to join us. But yeah, sorry. What I wanted to say was, because Prolo was saying the visual games are fascinating but kind of hurt the eyes. I think that's because it's based very much on this like pixel art grid pattern, and what you're getting is like basically a 720 stream of that. So this is one of those. It's not like with was it the Lost Fortress? This isn't hurting my eyes to play. I think it's just the stream of it. And yeah, Aperios, it was really nice to be able to hear that about like games interacting with Game Pass. The thing that Game Pass didn't detract from sales and actually helped, that I did not expect. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm just building us a pathway through here. Mothman needs a drink. Mothman. So Delta says, I think there has to be a better way of making high-quality games without risking everything with each new release. Feels like a lot of AAA games are cookie cutters to the previous games in the series due to it being tried and true. Point. Whilst a lot of indie games are just as good, if not better. Yes. Well, and that's I've described this as kind of being in like an indie gold age, and that's where a lot of that philosophy comes from. Because we are at a point right now where you know, indie titles can battle with the big players and succeed. And it's been a long time since we've had that. Oh, nearly ate shit there. Sorry. I was being very blasé. Ah, wellity. I'm going to take that back to the Mothman. We can use that to cross that. Okay. I'm starting to like learn this world. It's kind of fascinating. Bobbing his hips, but in a cool way. Now, the thing that I mentioned, and I can understand Xalavier's concerns about users expressing this like, oh, that's just a copy of that thing, because users can be arseholes. Let's be honest. But picnic basket discovers your presence. This is kind of fascinating. What are these little nuts? Helps hungry and sick. Alright, so we've got a place that does... is sick. Alright. Not today. Now you're feeling better. Helps disturbed and sick. Oh man. All along they were in fact down with the sickness. sorry. One of my personal feelings is that as good quality game engines become more accessible, is that teams will be able to produce the kind of visual fidelity that people expect of AAA. But visual fidelity is not the be-all and end-all when it comes to these conversations. You know, like, creativity and game experience will always play a large part. So, it's basically like, as the old dinosaurs either die out or turn into games as service projects, we're gonna see a change in that whole space. Because it's definitely getting to it's not viable to just continuously do same thing. And in that kind of environment, like, what do? You know? Look at all the fruit. Oh no! Oh no, the little squirrel is disturbed. Oh, this is bad. Sorry, I'm gonna jump back into chat. Here's the problem, friends. This game is very good. This is a game I'm going to play a shitload in my downtime. But because it's so intriguing, I'm genuinely struggling to hold a conversation with you all. Now, jumping back. Imperios was also adding that, I'd lean a bit in and say that the market and user does play into what we're seeing. True. People keep asking for more of that thing, so they get more COD, for instance. Sadly, cookie cutters do sell. They do. And I don't want to disparage that. It's also worth noting that things like COD, they operate outside of the video game space. Which Stranding is a game that people in video games will play and know and enjoy. Outside of the gaming space. Hang on. It's like every time our conversation, our banter starts getting snappy, it's like the rest of the world's like, surprise! No, the thing I was going to say that is important to this conversation is that games like Call of Duty reach far outside of our space. You know, Call of Duty is not gaming culture, it's culture. Which Stranding in a title like this is only really hitting a fraction of that. You know what? And Bacon does make a very good point that, I mean, and this is part of like the golden age, is that flawed and enabling, while flawed and enabling many bad things, you know, the internet has been a great equalizer. You know, not long ago, if you didn't have a publisher for a game, you were out of luck. If someone couldn't physically print discs and put them in video game stores, you know, ES&D, right? But what we're seeing in this space, hang on, I need to go get me fucking wand. What we're seeing in this space, I think, yeah, here we go. Because these cure disturbed, and we have a disturbed squirrel over here. Oh, what? Woo! Hey, Chad's back. Yeah, the internet has allowed for instantaneous distribution and has opened up a lot of gaming markets that wouldn't otherwise be accessible. You know, the power has definitely shifted. Definitely shifted. And I'm very happy about this. For the command that AAA had over... Oh, cool! The killing fields. For the command that AAA had over our industry, they didn't do a lot with it. Oh, man, you're disturbed as well. I used all my disturbed goodies to sort this. Alright, and there's one of the things we need to fix. So, we're going to go on a long journey to go get the fixie thing. And then we'll come back to the killing fields. Nah. I'm so sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. Coffee, help me out here. Ah, yes. So, like, the ability to self-publish, the ability to be part of the conversation. You know, marketing still needs to happen. There still needs to be a way for your game to be found. But it can now be found in a myriad of ways that are different from how it used to be, you know? You're not reliant on a publisher for people to care about your video game. Ah, there we go. You're not relying on a publisher to sell your game, and while we do live in... Oh, I forget, someone came up with a really good term for it. Like the digital momentum. The idea that you need a certain amount of momentum to be discovered in the digital space. Like, you can't just make something and hope people find it. No, you know what? I'm dragging this conversation in a weird and wrong space. Let's bring it back, bring it back. Okay, so Aperios, thank you for asking on that one. I'll answer that question before we get back to the AAA conversation, because I definitely am engrossed. This game is very good. The thing I will say, and to those who suggested it, woo! Your health grows with the forest. Ooh! Flooded hut. Or the killing fields. Oh, that is very, very cool. Oh, we can't take anything with us. Alright, that's cool. And Mr. Squarepeg, let's hope. Okay. The control scheme of this gives all your decisions weight. So the thing that Xalavier was talking about earlier, the fact that this is a stranding game, is one of the main parts of that is the act of carrying, the act of bringing things through the world. And the way the mouse controls work on this, it feels like you're dragging something with you. Or if you use like the right click suggestion, which a lot of you, so the click and drag, so I click once, and then the item comes with me. Like, this is definitely had an effect. But it really does feel like you're bringing something with you. You know, it really feels like I'm making... Like I'm physically carrying things around the environment. And I think that's fascinating. Oh no, little guy's injured. I thought we helped you. See if I can find another splint or a health kit or something for him. Oh, here we go. How are you doing? Oh, you got sick as well. God darn it, dum-dum. Leave these adorable woodland creatures alone for 2 seconds. 2 seconds. So yeah, that's very much where the control scheme is doing a lot of the thematic heavy lifting. It really feels weighty, and the choices as to what you take and what you move around are definitely a large part of the engagement. It is mouse only, and the thing I'm worried about is that due to my failings, we might have to move on to another game in a little bit just to avoid... Because the thing about moving the mouse repeatedly is it is giving me a bit of the old strain. But that's a fault of mine rather than the game. Okay, so jumping back. The AAA creativity space is a challenging conversation to have because you have to take a studio that may be anywhere between 100 and 1,000 people and say, right, we're going to make games in a new way that you've never done before. And that's not always viable. See, what happens in AAA is you don't just get more of the same person. So it's not just like, oh, we have a coder, now we have 5 coders. No, you have a head coder, and then you have one person who, and this is just hyperbole example, but like one person who's like graphics engine programmer, one person who's specifically responsible for, you know, water effects, one person who's specifically responsible for physics, so on and so forth. People become hyper specialized, and that's fine. It's just those specified skill sets can't then suddenly be turned inside out and made broad style, you know. So that makes it very difficult to pivot a team in. It's injured. We need to help sick, or potentially even the illest. And Smug Rainbow, that's closer to like independent development. Like when it's just you, or maybe you and a friend, or you and some contractors, you don't have the luxury of having a specialist. You've just got to make it work. That's it. That's the challenge. You know? Because if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. And yes, that's a relevant statement to pretty much all, you know, development elements, like independent or otherwise. But it does warrant saying. What? That's hungry and sick. Wait, did we have someone who was sick? Helps disturbed and sick. Alright, stop being so disturbed, you big deer. Oh no, sick was the one we needed to bring back for the raccoon. Okay. But yeah, so that's a valid experience for a lot of creatives. When we talk about, you know, AAA becoming more interesting, more varied, that's not a zero-sum experience. That doesn't... We can't just pivot 1,000 We can't just pivot 1,000 people into a new style of development. So that's why like creations of internal teams can be ideal. It also can lead to a lot of resentment, because, you know, your specialists are most likely the people who have been working at your company the longest, so they can end up being very resentful that they're not being allowed to, there we go, that they're not being allowed to do the creative stuff they really want to, but like other people on the team are. But again, sorry, I'm throwing you a lot of different points all at once. Guinea pigs, you're fine. God, it's just day of the animals. A river's here, yay! Famous river. Yeah, you know what, friends? I'm going to move this to kind of chat show format again, but if you do want to pick up a copy of Stranding, I highly recommend it. It's just my hand's starting to bloody hurt playing this for a couple hours. I don't know if you all will have the same... I doubt any of you will have the same problems that I'm having, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to alternate off of this. Alright, so what were we chatting about? We were chatting about game development, we were chatting about budgets, we were chatting about, like, how all this nonsense comes together. I'm absolutely leaving the audio up for this game because it's charming and I love it. So Smug was saying, I wonder if it plays well on the tablet. You know, the physical act of, like, dragging with a finger I think would work very well. If you played this with a controller, it would be too easy to move things around. It would become almost like a long-form Bubba is you kind of game, rather than hitting upon like the weight of the choices and the weight of the things you bring with you. But yeah, sorry, what were we talking about? So sorry, friends. My hands have been giving me trouble the last few days, and it's sucked for neon white. That's for bloody sure. Actually, I'm going to save and quit on that one, and I'll put some smooth jams on or something. Oh yes, video game creativity in the video game scene.
Reactor online.
Hey!
Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult.
44. That's a lot of fours.
It's an exceedingly large amount of fours. Skynix Destoria, thank you kindly. How are you doing? Tell me your tales. We're having a chat about AAA video games. The other thing that affects a lot of AAA creativity is like speculative risk. So like, if you so we work for a AAA games company. There's, let's say, like 300 to 500 people in this company, and a few of us team up, and we want to make something interesting and fresh and creative. And it's like, right, what is our process? So one, we can try and do some internal pitching, but it is worth noting that we won't get to do that on the company dime unless there is something like Amnesia Fortnite or elements like that, which is highly unlikely. But so we need to come up with our own pitch to pitch to our bosses in our downtime, as well as working a full-time AAA job. All right, that's a lot, but it's not impossible. Then we need to make that pitch to people who do not play video games. And I cannot state this enough, that the largest proportion of people who run studios, AAA studios, are not people who play video games. They are aware of the space and the understanding, but they are business people first, you know? And so we have to be able to make a business case as to why it makes sense for them to divert resources from the big AAA thing.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
OMG, so long.
So long. Hookshot, that's 2 years. I mean, Skynix just had 44 months. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm not comparing, but no, Skynix and Hookshot. Thank you both. Because let us remember that being a big company doesn't equal success. Like, I still wear the Artifact shirt, mainly because the Longship outlived a Valve game, and that continues to make me smile. Okay, so we've come up with a game we want to make inside our AAA studio. We've come up with a business model that makes it make sense. And now we have to go through the rigmarole of pitching this title in such a way that someone who doesn't play games will understand and understand the value. The best way to do this is comparable to other titles. So already inside a AAA structure, your pitching setup is skewed vastly towards a game that already exists and makes money that can easily be pointed to. It's easy to point to Rainbow Six Siege or, you know, PUBG or something like that and go, look how much money that's making. We want to make that. Usually that will then be a small team that gets to like prototype, and from there the call will be made as to whether to fully greenlight the project. But you can understand how that in itself is a very stifling process, and it's a long one. It's not like indie prototyping. Friends, you can just get Game Maker Day and you can start fecking around with it until you find something that you kind of feels right. Hell, I don't know if you've tried, but the out-of-the-box UE4 shooter, which is basically Unreal Tournament, plays great. You can get that and then just start swapping some stuff out with some things from the Unreal Marketplace. Hell, download the
Well, not quite as long, but still fairly long.
Alright, Lost Flowers, you know it's not a contest. Thank you. I mean, 17 months ain't nothing. Thank you and cheers to you. But my point being is that you as an individual, or, you know, if you think of yourself as an indie developer, you can start prototyping today to just find the fun. I mean, I probably lean closer towards Xalavier's methodology, whereby rather than trying to tinker with something until you get the experience that feels right, is try and start with an idea, like a concept. And I don't mean concept like shooty gun bang goes wild. I mean like with Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator. It's like, what is the absolute end of capitalism look like? And it's people openly trading, you know, internal organs on an open market. There's a great thing that people realize in Warlord Trading. In Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, it's a great thing that people have realized. Some people have complained about it because they think it's a gameplay bug and needs to be nerfed. But it's more valuable to play the stock market than it is to actually work, like than it is to buy and sell organs. Like, and that's intentional. I mean, the thing he was talking about earlier with being able to like essentially option off your life insurance policy so that you get money now, but people will get the payout when you die later. I mean, that shit's dark. And that's real life. But I always prefer like sitting down with a concept like, you know, the Cottagecore Shooter has been kind of the last one. But the concept of that one is that why can't we have hardcore realism in terms of our use and representation of firearms in games which, you know, can be a little bit more cozy? You know, why can't we have a power fantasy about using cool gun skills to scavenge and build a cute little cottage in the woods? Why can't we? There's no reason we can't. The project I worked on previously, which was not Last Chance Hero, what did we call it? I guess I can show you all because we're not. It's not getting. I know it was Last Chance Hero. I guess the only thing I can show you, because the rest is a lot of. Was that it? Or was that? Hang on, bear with me just a second, friends, because I'll see if I've got the pitch doc ready to go. But the last project that I was working on before that was called Last Chance Hero, and that was really fucking dark. In fact, one of the reasons why I ended up scrapping that one was because it felt too dark. God damn it! Where is it? Cool. It's not like I spent months working on that pitch doc and now it's gone somewhere. I mean, this is on me for not having everything organised. Alright, sorry, I don't even have the concept art to show you. But Last Chance Hero was a Beautiful Joe meets the Power Rangers side-scrolling game on the Genesis. So, think Street Fighter controls on a side-scrolling beat-em-up. And it was fucking dark. I was in a dark place when I came up with the concept, but it was the idea of self-delusion, and if you had to confront all the things that you have done wrong in your life and all the people that you've hurt, would you choose, having seen all that, would you choose to continue deluding yourself, or would you face the consequences with all the struggle that entails? Which obviously doesn't have analogies to me being a piece of shit in the past at all. No. And while I think that concept's not done, you know, friends, we're all living in the fucking cool zone. It's like we have enough abject misery and bullshit just outside. I think it's okay for video games to be happy. Well, Shackle, I've not gone deep into Disco Elysium as a whole. You know, there's a lot of, like, you know, self-loathing and... But how that process unfurls and the person you become is very much an RPG. Whereas this was more like, you know, using a poppy, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, like, Beautiful Joe art style. And then as the title progresses, the allegories become more and more on the nose until you have to realize that the things that you've been fighting through have been, you know, of your own creation. You are fighting these things as a way to ignore the effect that you have on others. I don't want to go too hard into it because some of it's really fucking dark. But yeah, fuck you, the sun, that I invited to this party. But yeah, I didn't want to work on a project that was incredibly miserable. I forget how I got you onto this topic of things I've pitched. Oh, yes! But with those pitches, I'm essentially pitching to publishers as an independent operation. So the process in that is very much like, can I get it to make sense so they'll give us money to actually develop it? But the speed of that is really on me. Can I set up a company? Can I get a pitch deck together that is good enough to convince people to part with cash? Or do we have to go the demo route? I mean, these days, most of the indie publishers want a demo from you, but that's another story. I forget how I got onto this one. I think we were talking about how it's so hard to make changes in the AAA space, but correct me if I'm wrong. Also, if it looks like I'm clicking around, it's just because I want to see if anything more has come from the Bandai Namco stuff, because I don't know if anything earlier. There doesn't seem to be any more on it, so we'll keep an eye on that one, because there's a chance that a new Armored Core got leaked today, so there's a chance, slim one. Okay. I guess we've covered a larger portion of that one. Sorry, everything's moving around. mean, speaking of cottagecore, friend, what if we went back to the that super lovely "Don't Get Eaten by Bears" pastel game? What if we did that for this afternoon? Because unfortunately, oh no, that one was mouse and keyboard as well, wasn't it? Damn it! I'm trying to give my, like I said, I'm trying to give my hands a bloody break. You want to step on things? You want to step on a bunchie? Well, okay, you know what? It might not be as bad, because there was just a lot of... Sorry, friends. Apparently, my modus operandi today is to be all over the place. So, Meow Kitty Sakura, yeah, you know what? I'll roll the dice on that one, and we'll... Because I really enjoyed it, and I did want to keep exploring and building stuff in that game, you know? Oh, tell me I did not install it. Tell me I wasn't being a dingleberry. Did I... Friends, why am I like this? No, okay, well, cool. Among the trees. I was looking for the wrong icon. So Delta says, do you think we'll see a shift in the way AAA titles are done since indie titles becoming successful, if not more? Not necessarily. Basically, the big developers will continue to try and either do what they have done with middling levels of success until they die, or they'll pivot towards whichever parts of the market they feel are the most lucrative, and do that. So currently live service games and currently live service games has been where a lot of teams have pivoted to, with the idea being is that if you're always on the game, you're always spending money. Very much about kind of like market domination. GTA Online continues to print money like it's going out of style, and that definitely colors a lot of video game conversations. Do you know what I mean? But basically, it's kind of the alligator... I always forget if it's crocodiles or alligators, which will continue to grow until they can no longer consume enough nutrients to maintain the size of their body. AAA studios will continue to grow. You have some sensible teams that have like a core pillar and then other experimental titles, but honestly, it's only through that kind of diversification that teams can survive. But that's another story. To answer your question, I guess a little bit more succinctly, the first AAA team that works out how to nurture and release indie games in that kind of environment is going to make bank. And, I mean, you could argue that Double Fine did that, but they never quite managed to hit that biting point between their community's interest and commercial interest. Hookshot says they're all about making games that people can put down and not feel guilty about it. Yes. I'm sick to the back teeth of starting a title and then being reminded repeatedly and repeatedly that by not logging in every day, I'm missing out. You know, I'm sick to the back of booting up a game only to claim my daily rewards and then never actually playing it. Yeah, Far Cry 6's emails was just... It was obnoxious to a level that I'm still angry about. Salem was just saying, yup, real done with game chores, yeah. Okay, look, I appreciate long-form challenges. A partner of mine back in the day did one of the long World of Warcraft rep grinds, where you work for like months to be able to access like a special kind of dragon. Like, you know what? I think those kinds of like, long-form marathon challenges have a really good place in games. For those of us who don't have good reaction speeds or want to be part of big groups that do big group type content, those kinds of this is me, this is what I can do, I think are great. But oh shit, friends, Smug Rainbow Pony has been playing Assassin's Creed New Hampshire. Fuck. ACNH stressed him out. Man, I heard New Hampshire's brutal. Sorry, I'm being an arse. But yeah, I just what Rainbow Pony was saying was that New Animal Crossing was stressing him out because of the things to do a day. Yeah, and it's kind of fascinating. Lost Flowers says Warframe locking amazing mods behind 800 logins is rough. Yeah, that's something that the mobile space weaponized for a while now. A lot of games as service games have taken those concepts across. Like, because it's such a double-edged sword, rewarding your user for just logging in is very powerful. But making it so that your user feels like they have to repeatedly log in, it's like, oh, come on, feck off. Give us a bloody break, you know? Sorry, I forget how we got into that one. I guess we talked about like Far Cry 6 bullying you if you didn't play enough. And Hookshot's saying they want to make games that people can put down and not feel guilty about it, right? But that can be easier said than done, especially when you're dealing with an industry that only really knows how to make games that we hook at. Hilliard, no. Alright, let's go hang out in our cutie patootie feckin' cottage. I can't feckin' spell today. I really can't spell today. Give us something to chipper around in while we're having a chat about this.